Welcome, brave souls, to the shadowed streets and moss-draped bayous of Louisiana. Beyond the jazz-filled streets of New Orleans and the lush plantations of the countryside, there are mansions that hold darker histories. Grand facades hide corridors where whispers echo, rooms remember sorrow, and shadows linger long after the living have left. Some of these mansions were built with opulence and pride, yet their histories are steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and curses that refuse to fade. Tonight, we step into the world of Louisiana's haunted estates, where portraits watch, footsteps echo without owners, and restless spirits roam. These are the 25 haunted mansions in Louisiana, with cursed histories. The LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans is not just a house, it's a monument to cruelty, mystery, and the lingering echoes of pain. Rising from the corner of Royal Street in Governor Nichols in the heart of the French Quarter, its elegant facade hides a history that still makes locals lower their voices when they speak of it. Behind its graceful, ironwork balconies and shuttered windows lies a legacy of horror that has haunted New Orleans for nearly 2 centuries. The story begins in the early 1830s with Madame Delphine LaLaurie, a prominent socialite known for her wealth, charm, and beauty. She hosted lavish parties that drew the city's elite judges, politicians, and aristocrats who marveled at her refined manners and the opulence of her mansion. But beneath the glittering surface, a darkness grew. Neighbors had long whispered about strange sound cries in the night, chains rattling, and the eerie silence that would fall whenever someone approached the servants' quarters. For years, no one dared question the powerful Madame LaLaurie. She was untouchable, her influence stretching through every social circle in New Orleans. But one fateful night, in April 1834, that silence shattered. A fire broke out in the mansion's kitchen. As neighbors and police rushed to help, they stumbled upon a sight so horrific it became legend. In a locked upstairs room, rescuers discovered enslaved men and women chained, starved, and tortured, some mutilated beyond comprehension. The walls themselves seemed to bleed from the suffering that had taken place there. The crowd outside grew furious. Word spread like wildfire through the city, and an enraged mob stormed the mansion. But Madame LaLaurie had already fled, disappearing into the Louisiana night and leaving behind only the ghosts of her cruelty. Some say she escaped to France. Others claim she never left, that her spirit remains trapped in the very house where she inflicted such agony. In the decades that followed, the LaLaurie Mansion stood as a scar on the city's soul. People claimed to hear screams echoing from the empty rooms at night, as if the tortured souls were still begging for release. The sound of chains dragging across the floors, phantom footsteps on the stairs, and the faint stench of smoke and burning flesh became part of the building's legend. When new owners moved in, the hauntings only grew stronger. Tenants reported strange happenings, doors slamming by unseen hands, furniture moving in the night, and ghostly figures appearing in mirrors before vanishing into the shadows. One caretaker claimed that every night he heard weeping coming from the attic, the same room where the enslaved had been found. When he investigated, he found nothing but the smell of ashes and a cold wind blowing from nowhere. By the late 19th century, the mansion had been converted into apartments. But few tenants stayed long. A man who lived there in the 1890s told of waking to find a figure standing at the foot of his bed, a woman in old-fashioned clothing, her face hidden behind a veil. When he blinked, she was gone, leaving behind only the echo of footsteps descending the stairs. Another tenant swore that he saw ghostly hands reaching out from a wall, clutching at him before vanishing. The paranormal reports continued into the modern era. In the 20th century, workers restoring the mansion spoke of tools disappearing, sudden drops in temperature, and disembodied whispers in the halls. One worker fled after feeling something grab his shoulder and hiss directly into his ear. He quit the next morning, refusing to ever return. Even visitors walking past on Royal Street have reported seeing faces in the upstairs windows, shadowy outlines that watch silently before fading into darkness. Tour guides say these are the spirits of Madame LaLaurie's victims, still trapped in the house where they suffered. Some describe seeing flickering lights inside when the mansion is completely empty, as if the rooms relive their gruesome history again and again. The most common apparition, however, is that of Madame LaLaurie herself. Dressed in her signature fine gown, she has been seen gliding through the corridors, her footsteps echoing faintly on the marble floors. Witnesses say her expression is cold and distant, her eyes filled with something between pride and regret. She never speaks, she only watches. Some believe she remains to torment the spirits she once enslaved. Others think she is cursed to relive her cruelty for eternity. Paranormal investigators have made the LaLaurie Mansion a near-mythic destination. Those who've entered after dark report overwhelming feelings of dread. Electronic voice recordings have captured faint pleas and sobs. Cameras malfunction without explanation. In one chilling instance, a team caught what appeared to be a shadowy figure moving behind them on film, though no one else was in the room. The building seems to breathe with residual pain, as if the air itself remembers. Locals say that even the street outside the mansion carries an aura of unease. Passers-by feel sudden chills, hear faint whispers in the humid air, and catch glimpses of movement in their peripheral vision. Some claim that if you stand outside at midnight, you can hear distant cries from within, though the house remains sealed and dark. The LaLaurie Mansion has changed hands many times over the years, each new owner attempting to restore or cleanse it of its horrific past. Yet no one stays for long. The energy of suffering, it seems, is impossible to erase. Even those who deny the supernatural admit that there's something wrong with the air around Etan, invisible heaviness that presses on the chest, as if the house resents the living. New Orleans is no stranger to ghosts. Its cemeteries, voodoo lore, and centuries of tragedy have made it one of America's most haunted cities. But even in a city that dances with death, the LaLaurie Mansion stands apart. It isn't a place of fleeting apparitions or harmless hauntings. It is a wound that never healed, a monument not only to one woman's cruelty, but to the countless souls who endured it. Today, the mansion is privately owned, closed to the public, yet it continues to draw the curious. Tour guides pause outside its gates, recounting the horrors that took place within, while visitors glance toward the windows, half expecting to see a face looking back. At night, the air grows colder, the shadows deepen, and the house seems to whisper again. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is often called one of America's most haunted homes. Beneath its stately oak trees, draped in Spanish moss, lies a southern mansion, steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and lingering spirits. Its grand white columns and wide porches mask a darker history, one that continues to echo through the halls long after the living have left. Built in 1796 by General David Bradford, the Myrtles was meant to be a refuge from the chaos of the Whiskey Rebellion. But from the moment its foundations touched the ground, whispers of the supernatural began to follow. Some say the property was built atop an ancient Native American burial ground, its soil restless with disturbed spirits. Others believe the house itself absorbed the grief, suffering, and bloodshed that unfolded within its walls. Over the centuries, the Myrtles Plantation has earned its reputation as one of the most haunted places in the South, a place where the dead refuse to rest. Visitors today often speak of the heavy silence that greets them upon entering. The air feels thick, almost watchful, as if unseen eyes are following every step. The creak of the old wooden floors seems to echo with more than ages, as though the house itself is breathing. Those who've stayed overnight describe hearing phantom footsteps pacing the upper halls, soft whispers near the parlor, and the faint sound of children laughing and running, though no one is there. The most famous of the plantation's many spirits is Chloe, an enslaved woman whose story has become woven into the fabric of the mansion's legend. According to lore, Chloe worked in the main house and was favored by the plantation owner, Clark Woodruff. Fearful of losing her position, she began eavesdropping on family conversations through the keyholes. When she was caught, her ear was said to have been cut off as punishment. From that day forward, Chloe wore a green turban to conceal the scar. What happened next is the subject of endless debate. Some say Chloe sought revenge. Others say she was trying to save the family. On the birthday of one of Woodruff's daughters, Chloe baked a cake and added crushed oleander, leaves poison to the mix. Whether her intention was to make the family ill so she could nurse them back to health or to cause harm remains unknown. Tragically, the mistress of the house and 2 of the children died after eating the cake. When the truth came to light, Chloe's fate was sealed. Enraged, the other enslaved workers dragged her to a tree on the property and hung her. Her body was thrown into the Mississippi River, but her spirit, it seems, never left. To this day, countless visitors and staff members claim to have seen a woman in a green turban wandering the grounds or standing quietly in the windows. One of the most famous photographs ever taken at the Myrtles captured in 1992 appears to show a faint female figure between 2 buildings. Many believe this is Chloe, still bound to the place of her suffering. But Chloe is not alone. The Myrtles Plantation is said to house 13 restless spirits. Among them are the souls of the Woodruff children, whose laughter and footsteps are often heard echoing through the empty halls. Guests have reported seeing the tiny handprints of children on mirrors, as if left by invisible fingers. Some have even claimed to feel a child tugging gently at their clothing before vanishing. Another well-known legend tells of a Confederate soldier who died on the grounds. His apparition is said to appear near the front porch, where he silently watches visitors, his faded uniform barely visible in the moonlight. Others have encountered a weeping woman dressed in black, seen gliding through the gardens and disappearing behind the trees. The grand staircase of the mansion is another hotspot for paranormal activity. Several guests have reported feeling an invisible hand press against their back as they ascend, while others hear faint sobbing drifting down from the landing. A large mirror in the main hallway is said to hold the trapped reflections of those who perished in the house. Visitors who look too long into it claim to see shadowy faces, staring back, eyes hollow, expressions frozen in silent agony. One of the eeriest accounts comes from a man who stayed in the plantation's most haunted room. He awoke in the middle of the night to the sensation of someone standing beside his bed. When he opened his eyes, he saw a woman in 19th century clothing looking down at him. She didn't speak, she simply raised a finger to her lips as if to shush him, then faded into the darkness. The next morning, he found small footprints in the dust near his bed, though he had locked the door before sleeping. The haunting extends beyond the main house. On quiet nights, people walking along the property's edge have reported hearing faint singing drifting from the trees, as though a ghostly lullaby lingers in the air. Lantern lights flicker near the slave quarters, even though no one is there to hold them. And on rare occasions, guests say they've seen a figure standing near the pond, her reflection rippling in the water, before vanishing completely. Despite its tragic and haunted past, the Myrtles Plantation has become a site of fascination and reflection. Paranormal investigators from around the world have visited, capturing unexplained voices, temperature drops, and flickering electromagnetic readings. Some describe the energy there as oppressive, while others feel an overwhelming sadness as if the walls themselves mourn. But not every spirit at the Myrtles is said to be vengeful. Some claim that the ghosts of the children are playful, leaving small signs of their presence, rolling toys, moving objects, or soft laughter in the distance. The house seems alive with layers of history, where every creak of the floorboards carries a whisper of the past. Those who have stood beneath the sprawling oaks at night say the plantation feels both beautiful and terrifying. The moonlight glints off the windows, and for a moment, the house seems to watch. Some hear faint strains of piano music coming from the parlor. Others see curtains shift when no wind is blowing. It's as if time itself bends within the Myrtles' walls, keeping the spirits of the past eternally tethered to the present. To this day, the mansion draws visitors seeking to glimpse the paranormal or to connect with the human stories buried beneath its haunted reputation. The Myrtles Plantation remains a place where beauty and horror intertwine, a southern masterpiece draped not only in moss, but in mystery. Alley Plantation in Vacherie, Louisiana, stands as one of the most iconic images of the Old South. Its grand avenue of oak trees, stretching like a cathedral of green toward the stately Greek Revival mansion. But beneath that breathtaking beauty lies a legacy of tragedy, loss, and whispers from the beyond. The plantation's splendor masks a haunted past that continues to breathe through its empty corridors and moonlit verandas. Those who walk its grounds often say the air feels heavy, as though history itself refuses to let go. Built in the 1830s by Jacques and Selina Roman, Oak Alley was meant to embody Southern elegance and prosperity. Its perfectly aligned 300-year-old live oaks frame the mansion like sentinels guarding a secret. Yet the wealth that sustained the Roman family was born from the suffering of the enslaved men and women who worked the fields. Their voices may have been silenced in life, but many believe their spirits linger, trapped within the beauty they helped create. Visitors today describe an atmosphere that shifts with the setting sun. In daylight, the plantation feels peaceful, even romantic. But as dusk creeps over the bayou and fog rises from the Mississippi River, Oak Alley takes on another presence entirely. Lights flicker in empty rooms, the scent of old perfume drifts through the air, and whispers seem to echo from nowhere. The mansion's long hallways feel colder, and shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls. Those who spend the night swear the plantation comes alive when darkness falls. One of the most frequently reported apparitions is that of a woman dressed in period clothing, believed to be Selina Roman herself. Selina was known for her beauty and strong will, but also for her turbulent emotions. She loved the mansion deeply, but struggled with loneliness after her husband Jacques died of tuberculosis in 1848. Her grief and mismanagement of the estate eventually led to its decline, and she lived her final years surrounded by memories of what once was. Guests and staff claimed to see her ghost wandering the upper gallery, gazing out toward the oaks as if waiting for someone who will never return. Others have reported the faint rustle of silk dresses and the sound of soft weeping near her former bedroom. Late at night, her shadow is said to appear in the upstairs windows, silhouetted by candlelight, her figure still keeping watch over the plantation she could never leave behind. But Selina is not the only restless soul said to walk Oak Alley's halls. Deep beneath the grandeur lies the memory of those who endured unimaginable hardship. The plantation once operated with the labor of over 100 enslaved people. Their names are etched in history, but their spirits are said to linger in the places they once lived and toiled. Visitors walking near the reconstructed slave quarters often speak of feeling sudden chills, even in the thick Louisiana heat. Some hear faint humming, like old work songs carried on the breeze, while others have reported disembodied voices calling out faintly in Creole. Ghost hunters using audio recorders have captured what they describe as whispers and cries near the sugarcane fields, especially on quiet, humid nights when the air feels almost still. One caretaker claimed that, while closing the grounds one evening, he saw a shadowy figure moving near the oaks. A man, dressed in tattered clothing, holding a lantern. Thinking it was a trespasser, he approached, but as he neared the figure, it vanished completely. Only the faint scent of smoke and sweat lingered in the air. Inside the mansion, the paranormal activity is equally unsettling. Doors are known to open and close by themselves. Chandeliers sway with no wind, and cold spots appear in the warm Louisiana air. Guests staying overnight have reported hearing footsteps on the grand staircase, followed by the faint creak of a rocking chair that moves on its own. Mirrors are said to reflect figures that aren't. They're flickering shapes that disappear the moment you turn around. Perhaps the most chilling reports come from the plantation's dining room. Late-night tours have been interrupted by the sound of silverware clinking and the faint murmur of voices, as if an invisible dinner party is still being held. Candles flicker even without drafts, and one guide swore she heard a woman whisper her name softly in her ear as she locked up one evening. The oaks themselves seem to hold a strange energy, as though their twisting branches are alive with memory. Some visitors claim to see figures standing beneath the trees at dawn, shapes that fade when approached. Others have captured strange lights on camera, glowing orbs that hover between the trunks before vanishing. Locals whispered that the trees remember every story, every death, every sorrow that unfolded under their shade. There are also tales of a phantom carriage that can sometimes be heard rolling down the path late at night, its wheels crunching on gravel, pulled by unseen horses. Those who've heard it say the sound grows louder as it approaches, then fades suddenly into silence. No one knows whether it's the ghost of a departed master, a heartbroken lover, or one of the enslaved souls seeking freedom in the afterlife. Even the bayou behind the plantation is not free of its haunting. Fishermen and nighttime visitors report seeing strange, misty shapes moving across the water, translucent figures gliding just above the surface. Occasionally, faint sobs are heard coming from the reeds, though no one can ever find their source. Some believe these spirits belong to those who tried to escape bondage, their souls forever caught between the living and the dead. Paranormal investigators who have studied Oak Alley describe it as a residual haunting, a place where strong emotions have imprinted themselves on the environment. Every tragedy, every act of love or pain, seems to replay like a faint echo, a reminder that history does not fade easily. Others claim the hauntings are intelligent, that the spirits interact with the living, turning off flashlights, whispering in recordings, or moving objects when asked. Yet, despite its eerie reputation, Oak Alley remains one of Louisiana's most visited historic sites. People come for its beauty, but many leave with stories of their own unexplained chills, unseen touches, or a sudden sense of sorrow that vanishes as quickly as it came. Standing beneath the sweeping branches of the ancient oaks, it's easy to feel the passage of time pressing close. The wind through the leaves sounds almost like voices, whispering the secrets of centuries past. The mansion looms at the end of the avenue, magnificent and melancholy, its windows glowing faintly in the night. Destrehan Plantation in Destrehan, Louisiana, rises from the banks of the Mississippi River as one of the oldest surviving plantation homes in the state. Built in 1787, it stands as a monument to both elegance and suffering, its French colonial architecture concealing stories of human tragedy that have long refused to fade. Beneath its stately galleries and moss-draped oaks lies a restless past that time has not silenced. For centuries, people have whispered that Destrehan is not just a relic of history, it's alive with echoes of those who once lived, toiled, and died there. In daylight, the plantation appears serene. Its white facade gleams against the green of the Louisiana landscape, and the wide verandas offer views of the slow-moving river. Yet, as the sun dips below the horizon, that beauty takes on a different tone. The air thickens, the oaks seem to sway with unseen weight, and the shadows stretching across the grounds begin to move in ways that defy explanation. Many who visit after dark say the plantation feels haunted by more than memory, it feels haunted by presence. Destrehan's history is steeped in both grandeur and cruelty. Founded by Jean Newell, Destrehan, a wealthy sugar planter and influential figure in early Louisiana politics, the estate prospered through the forced labor of enslaved people. Generations of men, women, and children lived and died in bondage here, their sweat and suffering fueling the wealth that built the house. The ghosts that wander the plantation today are said to carry the weight of that pain, their spirits forever bound to the soil that consumed their lives. Tour guides and visitors alike tell of hearing phantom footsteps in the upper hallways, measured, deliberate steps that seem to follow no living body. Doors open and close without warning, and the sound of chains dragging across the floor has been reported near the old kitchens. One caretaker claimed he heard soft singing in the still of the night, an old Creole hymn, drifting from the quarters long after the last tour group had gone home. When he went to investigate, the music stopped, replaced by the faint sound of weeping. Inside the mansion itself, the atmosphere feels charged, as though the walls remember every whisper and cry. Candle flames are known to flicker violently when guides tell stories of the enslaved, and several visitors have captured strange orbs and faint faces in photographs taken inside the main parlor. The grand staircase seems to echo with unseen footsteps, and the faint scent of tobacco and old perfume lingers in rooms that have been empty for centuries. One of the most commonly seen apparitions is that of a man believed to be Jean Newell Destrehan himself. His ghost is often spotted in the study, pacing with a look of deep contemplation. Some say his spirit is troubled, still overseeing the plantation he built, still watching over a legacy that turned from triumph to torment. Others claim to have seen him standing on the balcony during storms, staring into the dark sky, his figure illuminated only by lightning before vanishing into thin air. But it's not the masteresque ghost that most disturbs visitors. It's the presence of those who had no choice but to call Destrehan home. The slave quarters, now part of the plantation's museum exhibits, are among the most active areas on the property. Tourists report sudden chills and an overwhelming sense of sorrow upon entering. Some describe feeling as though they are being watched from the shadows, and others hear whispers too faint to understand. Paranormal investigators, using audio recorders, have picked up what they believe to be voices speaking in Creole, fragments of songs, and even cries for help. One chilling story tells of a woman who fainted while touring the quarters. When she awoke, she claimed she had seen a group of shadowy figures standing around her, their eyes filled with sadness. Another visitor reported feeling a cold hand rest on his shoulder as he examined an old iron kettle, though no one was near him. There are also tales of children's laughter echoing through the trees. Some say these are the spirits of young ones who once lived on the plantation, caught in a world they could never escape. On foggy mornings, figures have been seen darting between the oak's small silhouettes that vanish when approached. Late-night security guards have heard the sound of bare feet running across gravel paths, followed by silence so deep it feels otherworldly. A darker legend surrounding Destrehan involves the German coast slave uprising of 1811, the largest slave revolt in U.S. history. The plantation served as a site where captured rebels were put on trial and executed. It's said that the spirits of those men still linger, their anger and defiance burned into the land. Some visitors claim to have seen shadowy figures standing near the riverbank, their faces obscured, their bodies outlined in a faint, eerie glow. On certain nights, the sound of drums and distant chanting can be heard drifting through the trees, as if the dead are still calling out for freedom. Even modern staff members admit to uneasy moments. Maintenance workers have reported tools vanishing and reappearing in different locations, lights flicker without cause, and electrical devices sometimes malfunction only inside the house. One night, a guide locking up claimed she saw the faint outline of a woman in a long dress gliding down the hallway toward the parlor. When she followed, the room was empty, but the faint imprint of footsteps appeared in the dust on the wooden floor. Outside, the grounds feel alive with quiet energy. Visitors walking near the ancient oaks often feel sudden temperature drops, even in the sweltering summer heat. Some describe hearing faint moans carried by the wind or the rustle of clothing when no one else is nearby. Others have reported seeing candlelight flickering in the windows of the main house long after it has closed to the public. Locals passing by on the nearby road have seen figures standing on the veranda at midnight, staring out toward the river. Perhaps the most unsettling reports come from those who claim the plantation replays fragments of its past, a phenomenon known as residual haunting. People have described seeing ghostly scenes unfold, workers moving rhythmically in the fields, overseers shouting commands, and shadowy processions making their way toward the river. These visions vanish almost instantly, but the sound of their echoes, footsteps, cries, and whispered prayers sometimes lingers in the air. Destrehan Plantation remains one of Louisiana's most historically significant sites, a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. Visitors come to learn about the past, but many leave with more questions than answers. Some depart in silence, unable to shake the feeling that the eyes of the past are still watching them. Others speak of an invisible presence that seems to follow as they leave the property, as if reluctant to let go. Felicity Mansion in New Orleans stands as a grand reminder of the city's opulent past. Its facade wrapped in iron-lace balconies and veiled by curtains of Spanish moss. But behind its elegance lies a story steeped in tragedy, a tale whispered from one generation to the next about a family whose lives ended in violence, their restless souls forever trapped within its ornate walls. The mansion, once filled with music and laughter, now carries a silence so heavy that it seems to hum with unseen energy. Those who enter often say they can feel the air shift, as if the house itself remembers every scream, every sorrow, and every secret that brought it to ruin. Built in the mid-1800s, Felicity Mansion was once the pride of the Garden District. Its owner, a wealthy merchant named Charles Devereaux, built the estate for his wife, Isabel, and their 3 children. The mansion became a symbol of success and refinement, a gathering place for the city's elite. where lavish parties spilled out into candlelit gardens, and the sound of violins drifted through the night air. But prosperity, as the old saying goes, often hides decay beneath its polished surface. According to old records and the stories that persist in the neighborhood, something dark began to unravel within the Devereaux family. Some claim it was jealousy that took root, others whisper of greed, betrayal, and forbidden love. What is certain is that one stormy night, Felicity Mansion became the scene of an unspeakable tragedy. By dawn, the entire family was dead. Charles, Isabel, and their children found in separate rooms. Their fates, the result of what investigators at the time called a domestic calamity. The cause was never made clear. Rumors ranged from murder-suicide to poisoning, but no evidence ever settled the question. After the tragedy, the house changed hands several times, yet no one stayed for long. Servants refused to work past sunset, and neighbors spoke of lights flickering in the windows when the house was supposed to be empty. Even those who dared live within its walls reported feeling watched, as if the Devereaux family still moved through the halls, repeating the final, desperate moments of their lives. Visitors who have toured the mansion say the haunting begins subtly, a chill that seeps into the bones, a faint perfume that lingers when no one is nearby, the sound of distant footsteps echoing from empty rooms. In the grand parlor, where Isabel once hosted soirees, guests have reported hearing soft weeping, followed by the faint clinking of crystal glasses, as if an invisible celebration still continues in some ghostly reflection of the past. The grand staircase, one of the home's most striking features, is said to be the epicenter of the haunting. Those who climb it describe the unnerving sensation of being followed. Some claim to have seen a shadow standing at the landing, watching them in silence. Photographs taken on the stairs often reveal strange distortions, blurs of light, orbs, and even the faint outline of a figure in period clothing. Paranormal investigators who spent nights inside the mansion report that the temperature drops dramatically near the staircase, and that their equipment often picks up disembodied whispers. One such recording captured what sounded like a man's voice muttering the name Isabel. Another investigator, a skeptic by nature, left the mansion convinced of its haunting after seeing what he described as a translucent form of a woman standing by the banister before vanishing into thin air. He said she seemed sorrowful, as though she was waiting for someone who never came. In the upstairs hallway, doors are known to open and close on their own. Some visitors have heard the sound of children laughing faintly before the laughter turns into a cry. The nursery, preserved much as it was when the Devereaux children lived there, is considered one of the most active rooms. Toys are sometimes found moved from their original positions, and music boxes play by themselves, their melodies echoing through the house long after the mechanism should have wound down. One caretaker recalled entering the nursery late one night after hearing thumping noises, only to find small handprints pressed into the dust on the windowsill. Though the room had been locked for years, the master bedroom carries a heavier energy. People entering the room often describe an overwhelming sadness, sometimes followed by dizziness or nausea. Cold spots move unpredictably, and mirrors occasionally fog as though someone is breathing nearby. Legend says this was where Isabel was found, clutching a silver locket that contained a faded portrait of her husband. Paranormal teams have recorded fluctuations in electromagnetic fields near the bed, and several have heard faint arguments echoing through the walls, angry muffled voices rising and falling like the echoes of a long-past quarrel. Even the mansion's exterior is said to hum with energy. Passersby claim to have seen candlelight flickering behind shuttered windows. Some locals swear that when the wind blows just right, they can hear the faint strains of piano music carried through the garden. One of the eeriest tales associated with Felicity Mansion comes from a former tenant who rented a portion of the property in the 1970s, long before it became a historic site. He claimed that every night at precisely 2 o'clock, he would hear footsteps crossing the hallway outside his bedroom door. The steps were slow, deliberate, and always stopped just outside his room. When he finally gathered the courage to open the door one night, the hallway was empty, but the scent of gardenias, Isabel's favorite flower, lingered in the air. Other accounts tell of visitors seeing a man reflection in the mirrors of the downstairs studio. Tall figure in an old-fashioned suit, standing just behind them, though no one else is present. When they turn around, the room is empty. One woman described hearing whispers in French, as if two people were arguing in hushed tones, though she was alone in the house. Those who've stayed overnight often report vivid dreams of fire, of thunderous arguments, and of a woman's voice pleading for forgiveness. Many awaken to find objects moved around them, chairs slightly out of place, or candles that have mysteriously been lit. It's as though the house reaches out to those who enter, drawing them into its tragic memory. Locals avoid walking near the mansion after dark, claiming they can see faint lights glowing through the windows and hear the faint sounds of life's music, laughter, weeping trapped in a never-ending loop. Paranormal investigators believe the emotional turmoil that marked the Devereaux family's end left an indelible imprint, one that replays endlessly within the house's walls. The Beauregard House stands on Chartres Street in New Orleans, its Greek Revival architecture exuding the stately grace of a bygone era. Named after Confederate General P.G.T. Beauregard, who once called it home. The mansion carries with it not only the weight of history, but the heavy silence of sorrow. Its elegant facade and symmetrical lines might fool the casual passerby into believing it's merely another well-preserved relic of the city's past. But those who have stepped inside know better. Within its walls linger the restless echoes of lives once lived and lost amid war, grief, and regret. By daylight, Beauregard House is serene. The grand balconies overlook the old parade grounds of the French Quarter, and sunlight filters through the tall windows, illuminating rooms that seem frozen in time. Yet, as the day wanes and the humid New Orleans air thickens, the house seems to change. Shadows stretch across the polished floors, the walls seem to breathe, and an uneasy chill settles over the grand parlor. Many visitors have described an inexplicable heaviness, as though unseen eyes watch their every movement. The most common apparition is said to be that of General Beauregard himself. Witnesses described seeing a distinguished man in full military uniform, his expression stern and contemplative. He is often spotted standing by the upstairs window that overlooks Chartres Street, gazing out as if awaiting a message that will never arrive. Some say he appears only when storms roll in from the Gulf, his image illuminated by lightning before vanishing into the gloom. Others have reported hearing the faint sound of marching boots echoing through the corridors, followed by the scent of gunpowder remnants, perhaps of the battles that haunted Beauregard long after the Civil War had ended. Historians note that General Beauregard endured great personal and professional loss. The Civil War left him broken, his fortune gone, and his reputation tarnished. After his death, the house changed hands many times, each owner seemingly touched by misfortune. Fires, illnesses, and strange accidents befell those who lived there, as if the mansion itself was cursed to replay its own cycle of tragedy. Yet Beauregard is not the only spirit said to dwell within the mansion's walls. A woman in a flowing white gown has been seen wandering the upper hallways, her face obscured by shadow. Paranormal investigators believe she may be a former resident, perhaps one of Beauregard's relatives whose life was cut short within the house. Witnesses describe hearing her footsteps pacing slowly at night, followed by the faint rustle of silk and a low, mournful sigh. Some have even claimed to see her descend the grand staircase, pausing halfway down before fading like mist. Visitors also speak of phantom children who play in the courtyard after midnight. Their laughter is faint, distant like a memory carried on the wind. One caretaker once reported finding small handprints on a freshly polished mirror, though no children had entered the building that day. On another occasion, a visitor snapped a photograph in the garden and later discovered the image of two translucent figures, one small, one taller, standing beside the iron gate, watching. The mansion's energy is unpredictable. Lights flicker without reason, cold spots appear in rooms that should be warm, and doors creak open as if guided by invisible hands. On especially quiet nights, some have heard the low murmur of voices in the drawing room, as though an unseen gathering is taking place. One former guide recalled hearing distinct footsteps approach from behind, only to turn and find the hallway empty. The scent of pipe smoke, though no one had been smoking, filled the air moments later. Skeptics might dismiss these occurrences as tricks of the mind or the influence of suggestion, but even the most rational visitors admit there's something uncanny about Beauregard House, something that defies simple explanation. Paranormal teams have recorded sudden electromagnetic spikes and captured faint voices on audio devices. One chilling recording captured what sounded like a man whispering "March on," in a tone both commanding and sorrowful. Some locals believe that Beauregard's spirit remains tied to the house, not out of malice, but duty. They say he continues to watch over the property as if it were still under his command. A general who refuses to abandon his post. Others suggest that the souls of those who once lived or died within its walls are bound there by the trauma of their past, replaying their grief in an endless loop. There are stories, too, of visitors feeling sudden waves of sadness while standing in the music room, or of an invisible hand brushing against their shoulder as if in comfort. It's as though the house itself remembers every moment of joy and sorrow it has ever held, and cannot let them go. At dusk, when the final rays of light fade across the quarter, the Beauregard House becomes eerily still. The city's lively music and laughter seem to stop at its gates. Inside, the air grows heavy with memories. Those who pass by at night sometimes glimpse a flicker of movement in the upper windows, a silhouette pacing back and forth, or hear the faint echo of boots against old wooden floors. Gallier House stands quietly on Royal Street in New Orleans, its white pillars and wrought iron balconies reflecting the elegance of antebellum architecture. Built in the mid-19th century by architect James Gallier Jr., the mansion was designed as a symbol of prosperity and refinement. Its intricate woodwork, high ceilings, and grand staircase exemplify the craftsmanship of the era. Yet beneath its stately exterior lies a history that continues to linger, whispered through empty halls and shadowed corners, long after its original occupants have departed. Visitors to Gallier House often speak of an atmosphere unlike any other historic home in the French Quarter. By day, sunlight filters through the tall windows, illuminating polished floors and antique furnishings. But as dusk settles and the city's sounds fade, the house seems to shift, revealing its spectral presence. Guests report the sensation of being watched, as if invisible eyes follow them from room to room. Some have felt the cold brush of air on the back of their necks, though no doors or windows were open, and the temperature inside remains constant. One of the most common experiences involves hearing whispers that seem to float through the empty rooms. They are soft, indistinct, almost as if the house itself is speaking in hushed tones. Visitors describe hearing fragments of conversation, the occasional laughter of someone long gone, or the faint murmur of a name spoken repeatedly. Paranormal investigators, equipped with sensitive audio devices, have captured low-frequency sounds that resemble murmured voices, even when the house is completely unoccupied. The source of these whispers remains a mystery, leaving both skeptics and believers intrigued and unsettled. Shadowy figures are another frequent phenomenon reported within Gallier House. Guests have described fleeting silhouettes, gliding across doorways, moving along hallways, or pausing near windows before vanishing. Some claim to see the faint outline of a woman in period dress, her movements deliberate yet ethereal, as if she is performing some daily ritual long abandoned. Others report glimpses of a man, sharply dressed, standing in the parlor or near the grand staircase, watching silently before fading into the shadows. The figures are rarely fully visible, leaving observers to question whether they are glimpsing memories of the past or spirits trapped within the walls. The mansion's lingering scents add another layer to its haunted reputation. A faint, floral perfume is often reported by those exploring the house, particularly in the bedrooms and sitting rooms. The fragrance appears without source, as though the house itself carries the memory of its former inhabitants. Some visitors associate the smell with the presence of the female spirit, claiming it intensifies when she is nearby. Others detect a subtle odor of tobacco smoke, a reminder of the male residents who once occupied the home. These olfactory phenomena, combined with the visual and auditory encounters, create a deeply immersive experience that blurs the line between past and present. Gallier House's grand staircase, with its polished wooden steps and carved balusters, is a frequent site of paranormal activity. Guests have reported hearing footsteps ascending and descending the stairs, often accompanied by the soft creak of boards that no one is standing on. Some say that the steps themselves seem to echo memories of the past, carrying the weight of unseen occupants moving about the house. In certain rooms, objects appear to shift subtly, as though nudged by invisible hands, further contributing to the sense that the house is alive with unseen presences. Nighttime amplifies the mansion's eerie qualities. Shadows lengthen and pool in the corners, creating shapes that seem almost human. Lights flicker in areas where no wiring issues exist, and the soft tap of invisible footsteps echoes through empty hallways. Paranormal teams exploring Gallier House report sudden drops in temperature, often accompanied by an overwhelming sensation of being observed. Some have described feeling a presence standing behind them, only to turn and find the room empty. These sensations are often accompanied by a sense of déjà vu, as though the house itself is replaying moments from a time long gone. Despite its haunted reputation, Gallier House remains a place of fascination for historians, ghost hunters, and tourists alike. Many are drawn to its elegance, history, and the thrill of the unexplained. Visitors have recounted being drawn to specific rooms without knowing why, standing in front of mirrors and seeing vague shapes that vanish when approached, or hearing soft footsteps echoing from upstairs while no one else is present. Some researchers theorize that the spirits of Gallier House are tied to strong emotional memories. The original owners experienced both triumph and hardship, and the energy from these events may have imprinted on the house itself. Others suggest that the house functions as a repository for echoes of the past, preserving fragments of life that refuse to fade. Whatever the explanation, there is little doubt among those who have spent time within its walls that Gallier House carries an undeniable presence, a lingering sense of lives intertwined with history and memory. As the night deepens, Gallier House settles into an uneasy quiet. The sounds of the French Quarter fade, leaving only the soft rustle of air through the windows and the distant hum of the city. Shadowy figures may appear at the periphery of vision. Whispers continue to drift through the empty rooms, and the perfume of a bygone era lingers in the air. For those who venture within, the mansion offers a glimpse into a world that is both beautiful and unsettling, where the past and present exist side by side, and the spirits of its original inhabitants continue to roam, watching, waiting, and whispering their secrets to anyone willing to listen. Houmas House, located along the banks of the Mississippi River in Darrow, Louisiana, is renowned for its sprawling gardens, grand architecture, and antebellum elegance. Built in the early 19th century, the mansion reflects the wealth and taste of the plantation era. With sweeping staircases, ornate moldings, and rooms filled with period furnishings, tourists often visit for its beauty and historical significance. But beyond the picturesque exterior, Houmas House carries a reputation for supernatural activity that has intrigued both locals and paranormal enthusiasts for decades. Visitors frequently speak of an uneasy feeling upon entering the mansion. While the gardens exude tranquility, the interior often feels charged with an invisible presence. Guests report hearing phantom footsteps echoing across polished floors, sometimes beginning at one end of a hallway and stopping abruptly, as if someone were pacing unseen. Even when the mansion is empty, the creak of floorboards and the soft tapping of invisible footsteps have been reported, unsettling those who thought they were alone. Disembodied voices are another common occurrence. Whispered conversations drift through the rooms, often indistinct but undeniably human. Guests describe hearing murmurs that sound like arguments, soft laughter, or even cries of distress, emanating from areas where no one is present. In certain rooms, these whispers seem to follow visitors, moving from corner to corner, as if unseen spirits are tracing their path. Paranormal investigators have recorded audio anomalies in these areas, capturing sounds that are difficult to explain through natural causes. Objects in Houmas House occasionally appear to move on their own. Doors swing open or close without force. Chairs are found slightly repositioned, and small items are reported to shift mysteriously. Some visitors have described seeing objects levitate briefly before settling back into place, while others report the sensation of being touched or brushed against by invisible hands. These occurrences are most often reported in the older sections of the mansion, areas preserved to reflect their 19th century origins, suggesting that the energy of the past may be more concentrated in rooms where life once bustled with activity. Many of the reports are tied to the history of the house and its owners. Over the centuries, Houmas House has seen prosperity, tragedy, and untimely deaths. Some believe that the spirits of former residents, particularly those who died under sudden or tragic circumstances, remain tethered to the mansion, replaying moments of their lives or seeking resolution for unfinished business. Visitors sometimes report seeing fleeting shadows in hallways, figures in period dress that vanish when approached, or the vague impression of someone watching silently from a doorway. The mansion's grand staircase is a frequent site of paranormal activity. Guests describe hearing footsteps ascending or descending, even when no one else is present. Some have felt sudden chills while standing near the banister, a coldness that cannot be explained by the temperature in the room. Paranormal teams visiting Houmas House often note that this area seems to be one of the most energetically active, with electronic equipment occasionally malfunctioning and temperature readings fluctuating dramatically. The staircase, with its polished steps and ornate carvings, appears to serve as a conduit for lingering energy, amplifying the presence of the unseen. Nighttime visits often intensify the mansion's haunted reputation. Shadows cast by candlelight or moonlight appear to move independently, and whispering voices become more pronounced. Some guests have reported seeing figures crossing rooms at the edge of vision, only to vanish when directly observed. Others speak of doors that slowly creak open, objects that shift without explanation, and sudden drops in temperature that leave a chilling presence in the air. These nocturnal phenomena suggest that the mansion itself retains a memory of past activity, echoing moments from the lives of those who once inhabited its walls. Olfactory experiences further enhance the house's spectral allure. Visitors have reported sudden scents of perfume, tobacco, or food cooking, even in areas where such odors are impossible. The faint aroma of flowers, perhaps tied to the estate's expansive gardens, has also been noted, appearing more intensely in rooms where ghostly figures are sighted. These lingering smells contribute to the immersive experience of the mansion's supernatural presence, creating a sense that the past is woven into the very air of Houmas House. While some explanations suggest that the mansion's paranormal activity is a result of suggestion or the power of imagination, many visitors insist that the experiences are tangible and undeniable. The combination of visual sightings, auditory anomalies, temperature fluctuations, and moving objects has created a compelling case for the existence of spirits tied to the house. Guides and historians at Houmas House often warn visitors to be prepared for unusual occurrences, emphasizing that the mansion's haunted reputation is more than mere legend. Houmas House continues to captivate those drawn to both history and the paranormal. Its beauty and elegance are undeniable. Yet the mansion's hidden stories and spectral inhabitants provide a different kind of allure. Guests leave with a sense of awe and trepidation, carrying memories of whispered voices, unseen presences, and the occasional glimpse of figures from another time. The mansion's energy is palpable, a reminder that while centuries have passed, the spirits of Houmas House remain, forever intertwined with the lives and tragedies of those who once walked its halls. Nottaway Plantation, located in White Castle, Louisiana, stands as a magnificent symbol of antebellum grandeur. Its sprawling white facade, intricate ironwork, and ornate interiors make it a marvel of architecture, drawing visitors from across the country. Yet beneath its beauty lies a darker side. Nottaway is widely regarded as one of the most haunted plantations in the South. Tales of ghostly apparitions, strange noises, and unexplained occurrences have been passed down for decades, captivating the imagination of both historians and paranormal enthusiasts. Many visitors describe the plantation as having an almost tangible energy, a presence that seems to watch silently from the corners of lavish rooms. Staff and guests frequently report seeing shadowy figures moving across ballrooms and dining halls, figures that vanish the moment one turns to look directly. Some of these apparitions are said to resemble servants, dressed in period attire, going about their work long after their time has ended. Others take the form of family members, their appearances fleeting but unmistakable, gliding silently through corridors or pausing at windows to gaze out at the sprawling grounds. Whispers in empty hallways are another hallmark of Nottaway's spectral activity. Visitors have described hearing hushed conversations in the dead of night, murmurs that appear to come from nowhere. Sometimes these whispers are unintelligible, a jumble of voices overlapping, while at other times they seem to call out names, as if acknowledging the living presence of those who enter the mansion. Guests often report a sudden chill in these areas, a drop in temperature that leaves the air feeling heavy and cold, as though the walls themselves are exhaling the memories of those long gone. Certain rooms within the mansion are particularly active. The grand ballroom, with its high ceilings and polished floors, is notorious for phantom footsteps and shadowy movements along the perimeter. Guests have recounted seeing the glint of candlelight on unseen faces, or catching glimpses of figures dancing silently to music that cannot be heard. In the dining hall, chairs are sometimes found slightly askew, as if someone had recently occupied them, and objects occasionally shift or fall without cause. These occurrences are not limited to daytime visitors. Many report that the activity intensifies after dark, when the mansion is quiet and the shadows deepen. Nottaway's bedrooms carry their own tales of the supernatural. Guests staying overnight often speak of the sensation of being watched, or of feeling an unseen presence brushing against them while they sleep. Some have woken to see ghostly figures standing silently at the foot of the bed, vanishing when observed. Doors to these rooms may open and close on their own, and lights can flicker even when the electrical systems are functioning normally. Paranormal investigators have noted electromagnetic anomalies in several rooms, suggesting that the spirits or energies lingering in Nottaway interact with the environment in measurable ways. The mansion's expansive grounds are not immune to paranormal sightings. Visitors strolling through the gardens at dusk or night have reported seeing shadowy figures among the trees, moving between the mansion and outbuildings. Some claim to hear faint laughter or murmurs carried by the wind, sounds that vanish as soon as they attempt to locate the source. Others describe a sensation of being followed, a subtle pressure or coldness that moves with them across the estate. Even the carriage paths are said to host fleeting apparitions, often glimpsed just at the edge of vision, only to disappear when approached. Stories of ghostly servants at Nottaway are particularly persistent. These spirits are believed to replay their duties, setting tables, tending to rooms, or preparing for events that no longer take place. Staff have recounted seeing figures carrying trays or moving furniture, only to find the halls empty moments later. Guests have reported hearing the creak of stairs under invisible weight, the clink of silverware, or the faint rustle of fabric, all seemingly from unseen hands. Some visitors claim that these apparitions are not malicious but carry an air of sadness, echoing a life of service long ended yet unfulfilled. Family members of the plantation are said to appear as well, often in formal attire, wandering the halls as if returning to check on their estate. Witnesses have described catching glimpses of faces at windows, figures pausing at the stairwell, or shadowy forms moving along the balcony overlooking the garden. These presences sometimes manifest as sudden drops in temperature, a brush against the skin, or an eerie sense of being observed. Paranormal researchers note that the combination of historical tragedy, lingering memories, and the mansion's preservation may contribute to a concentrated energy, making Nottaway a focal point for supernatural activity. Audio anomalies are common within the mansion. Guests report hearing the faint echo of footsteps where none should exist, the distant murmur of conversation, or soft cries carried through the hallways. In some areas, doors swing open without reason, and objects seem to respond to the invisible touch of unseen residents. Paranormal investigations often capture unexplained sounds on recording equipment, adding to the mansion's reputation as one of the most haunted locations in Louisiana. Despite its elegance and historical importance, Nottaway Plantation's haunted legacy is inseparable from its beauty. Visitors are drawn not only by the grandeur of its architecture and the richness of its history, but also by the palpable presence of spirits who have remained long after their mortal lives ended. These apparitions, whispers, and cold drafts remind guests that the mansion holds more than memories. It holds echoes of the past that refuse to fade. Gallier Mansion in New Orleans stands as an imposing example of 19th-century architecture. Its grand facade and stately columns reflecting the prominence of the family who once resided within. Yet, beneath the elegance and historical significance lies a chilling reputation. The mansion is considered one of the most haunted locations in the city. Tales of ghostly children, disembodied music, and unexplained movements have persisted for generations, drawing both curious visitors and paranormal investigators eager to witness the supernatural firsthand. From the moment one steps onto the property, the mansion seems to carry an atmosphere of otherworldly tension. Guests often describe a heavy feeling in the air, as if unseen eyes are observing every movement. Shadows are said to flit across the hallways, appearing just at the corner of vision and vanishing when looked at directly. These fleeting images have been described as indistinct forms of children, often seen running along the halls or playing quietly in rooms that are otherwise empty. Their presence is sometimes accompanied by the faint sound of laughter or whispers, echoing as if replaying memories long past. The mansion's grand staircases are particular hotspots for spectral activity. Visitors frequently report sudden chills or the sensation of being followed when approaching the stairs. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures standing at the top, their features obscured, only to disappear moments later. Others have felt cold hands brush lightly against them, or the subtle pressure of a presence moving in tandem with their steps. These phenomena give the impression that the spirits within Gallier Mansion are not confined to any single room but move freely, interacting with the living in quiet, unsettling ways. Music is another hallmark of the mansion's supernatural reputation. On more than one occasion, guests have reported hearing faint strains of piano or violin, often playing melodies that feel both familiar and impossibly distant. The music is not associated with any functioning instrument. Investigators have found no source, yet the melodies continue, echoing through empty rooms and down long corridors. Sometimes the music appears to respond to the presence of living visitors, growing slightly louder or fading into silence as someone enters or leaves a space. This auditory phenomenon lends the mansion a sense of lingering memory, as if the spirits of past residents are reaching out through sound alone. Gallier Mansion's bedrooms also hold a history of strange occurrences. Guests staying overnight often describe feeling watched or sensing an invisible presence at the foot of the bed. In some cases, objects shift inexplicably, and doors open and close without any mechanical cause. Shadows may appear on the walls or ceilings, fleeting but undeniable, often accompanied by faint whispers or the sensation of someone pacing just beyond the room's threshold. Visitors frequently report that these disturbances intensify after dark, when the mansion's quiet amplifies the smallest sounds and movements. The mansion's hallways are corridors of constant activity, where shadows move unpredictably and cold drafts appear for no reason. Guests have described glimpsing figures in doorways that vanish when approached, or seeing silhouettes glide across walls as if the past were replaying itself in real time. Some paranormal enthusiasts suggest that these spirits are tied to specific events in the mansion's history, while others believe they are remnants of ordinary life, unable or unwilling to move on. Regardless of the cause, the effect on visitors is undeniable, creating a palpable tension that lingers throughout the mansion. Even the mansion's exterior seems to participate in the haunting. On quiet nights, visitors report seeing fleeting shapes near windows or on the verandas, figures that disappear into darkness as soon as they are noticed. Some claim to hear voices carried on the wind, soft and indistinct, whispering names or phrases that vanish with the breeze. Others describe the sensation of being followed along the garden paths or terraces, as if the spirits extend beyond the walls of the house itself. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena creates a haunting experience that engages multiple senses, leaving an indelible mark on those who enter. Paranormal investigators visiting Gallier Mansion have documented a variety of unusual phenomena. Sudden temperature drops, unexplained shadows, and auditory anomalies are commonly reported. Some have captured EVP recordings, electronic voice phenomena where faint voices can be heard responding to questions or calling out names. Electromagnetic field readings often spike in certain rooms, particularly near the staircases and main hallways, suggesting a concentration of energy that may be linked to the mansion's spectral inhabitants. These findings, combined with decades of eyewitness accounts, have solidified Gallier Mansion's reputation as one of New Orleans' most active and mysterious haunted houses. Despite the eerie occurrences, the mansion remains a place of fascination and historical importance. Its architecture, period furnishings, and preservation of 19th-century design draw visitors from around the world. But the stories of spectral children, faint music, and shadowy presences give it a supernatural dimension that sets it apart from other historic homes. Guests are often left in a delicate balance of awe and unease, caught between admiration for the mansion's grandeur and the undeniable sense that they are not alone. Ashland Plantation in St. Francisville stands as a testament to antebellum grandeur, its stately columns and sprawling grounds a reflection of a bygone era. Yet beneath the architectural elegance lies a chilling reputation that has captivated paranormal enthusiasts for generations. Ashland is said to be haunted by the spirits of family members who met tragic ends, and countless visitors and investigators have reported unsettling encounters that suggest the past is far from buried within its walls. From the moment one approaches Ashland, there is a palpable tension in the air. Guests frequently describe an oppressive stillness, a heavy silence that seems to press in from every direction. Shadows move unexpectedly along the halls, often at the edge of vision, only to vanish when observed directly. Witnesses claim these shadows take the forms of former residents, their movements deliberate yet ethereal, as if replaying the routines of life long ended. Some have described seeing faint figures gliding across the expansive halls, while others report the sensation of being followed from room to room, a cold presence lingering just behind them. Inside the mansion, the rooms hold an uncanny vitality, as though the past refuses to rest. Visitors often hear phantom footsteps echoing across the wooden floors, particularly in areas that were once private chambers or family gathering spaces. Doors open and close without any mechanical cause, and pieces of furniture have been reported moving of their own accord. Chairs may tilt, drawers slide open, or a table may shift slightly, leaving witnesses questioning whether the house itself is alive with unseen energy. These disturbances are more than fleeting glimpses. They are consistent, reported across decades, and often escalate during quiet evenings when the mansion is otherwise empty. Windows at Ashland seem to hold a particular intrigue. Many visitors have described seeing faces staring silently from the darkness beyond the glass. These apparitions are usually fleeting, sometimes visible for only a few heartbeats before vanishing as if dissolved by the night. The faces are often described as solemn or mournful, their expressions hinting at sorrow, regret, or perhaps warning. It is as if the very windows serve as portals through which the past peers into the present, offering a glimpse of lives interrupted and histories never fully reconciled. The auditory phenomena at Ashland add to the mansion's eerie reputation. Guests frequently report hearing whispers echoing through empty corridors, faint conversations that vanish upon investigation. Some have heard calls of distress, the voices rising and fading like wind through the hallways, impossible to trace to any source. Footsteps are a common occurrence, heard in rooms where no living soul is present, sometimes accompanied by creaking floorboards or the subtle brushing of fabric, suggestive of spectral movement. Paranormal investigators have noted that these sounds often intensify near areas of known tragedy within the mansion, suggesting a connection between the lingering energy and historical events. Certain rooms are particularly active, with repeated sightings and phenomena concentrated in specific areas. Bedrooms, parlors, and the main hallway are frequently mentioned in reports, where witnesses have seen full-bodied apparitions or felt sudden drops in temperature. Some visitors describe the sensation of unseen hands lightly touching them, or a presence standing at the foot of the bed. Others report objects being moved or rearranged, a silent dialogue between the living and the dead. These occurrences create an atmosphere where time seems fluid, and the boundary between past and present is blurred. Ashland's exterior is not immune to spectral activity. Groundskeepers and visitors have reported shadowy figures walking across the manicured lawns, figures that vanish upon approach. Strange lights appear at night near the perimeter of the house, and some have experienced sudden chills while strolling the gardens. Even the trees and fences seem to hold whispers of history, carrying a lingering sense of sorrow and memory. The plantation, in this way, becomes a landscape not only of physical beauty, but also of unseen presence, a space where history and haunting intertwine. Paranormal investigators have documented a range of phenomena at Ashland, from temperature fluctuations to visual apparitions. EVP recordings capture faint voices and sighs, sometimes responding to direct questions or repeating words spoken aloud. Cameras occasionally pick up shadowy shapes or unexplained movements, while electromagnetic field readings spike unpredictably in the mansion's most active areas. These findings, alongside decades of eyewitness testimony, suggest that Ashland is more than a historic home. It is a repository of lingering energy, a place where the emotions, tragedies, and presence of former residents continue to resonate. Despite its chilling reputation, Ashland Plantation continues to attract visitors, drawn by both its architectural splendor and its supernatural allure. Guests often leave in a state of awe and unease, impressed by the mansion's beauty, yet unsettled by the unmistakable sense that they were not alone. Shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, and fleeting faces create an immersive experience, reminding visitors that the past at Ashland is never truly gone. Houmas House Gardens in Darrow are renowned for their beauty, a sprawling expanse of magnolias, fountains, and meticulously maintained hedges. Visitors come to stroll among the winding pathways, marvel at the intricate flower beds, and enjoy the serene atmosphere of one of Louisiana's most picturesque estates. Yet beneath the charm and elegance, the gardens carry a reputation that has intrigued locals and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Many claim that the spirits of the past linger among the trees and pathways, leaving an unsettling presence that can be felt long after sunset. Those who venture into the gardens after dark often describe a profound change in the atmosphere. The soft rustle of leaves becomes something more, almost like whispers carried on the warm evening air. Faint laughter, sometimes joyful, sometimes mournful, drifts through the magnolia trees, echoing in the stillness of the night. Guests report the sensation of being watched, a prickling awareness that they are not entirely alone. Shadows move unnaturally, gliding across hedges and pathways, vanishing when approached, leaving only the quiet hum of the gardens and the lingering sense that someone or something is following them. The pathways themselves are a stage for unexplained phenomena. Visitors recount sudden chills that seem to rise from the ground, enveloping them despite the mild night air. Some feel an unseen hand brush against their shoulder, a fleeting touch that vanishes before it can be traced. Others experience moments of disorientation, as if the familiar paths have subtly shifted, guiding them in unexpected directions. These sensations are often accompanied by sounds that cannot be explained. The soft snapping of twigs, the rustle of clothing, or the distant echo of footsteps when no one else is present. Several areas of the gardens are particularly active, according to reports. Near the large magnolia grove, witnesses have described seeing shadowy figures moving silently among the trees. These apparitions are often indistinct, sometimes humanoid, sometimes more abstract, appearing and disappearing as if fading in and out of reality. Some visitors have seen what they describe as fleeting glimpses of women in period attire, strolling with purpose yet ignoring the living entirely. Others have observed the silhouettes of children darting between the flower beds, their laughter echoing faintly before fading into the night air. Fountains and ornamental features in the gardens also seem to hold residual energy. At night, the sound of flowing water can appear amplified or oddly distorted, carrying with it whispers and murmurs that vanish when approached. Some visitors have reported seeing the surface of the fountains ripple, as though touched by unseen fingers, or noticing the water reflecting shapes that are not physically present. Lanterns and garden lights sometimes flicker inexplicably, casting fleeting shadows that seem almost sentient, moving independently of wind or natural causes. The historical background of Houmas House adds to the weight of these experiences. The estate has seen generations of families, both enslaved and free, laboring, celebrating, and grieving within its grounds. Many believe that the emotional imprints left behind are carried through the gardens, lingering in subtle ways that manifest as whispers, shadows, and the sense of presence. Paranormal investigators visiting the site have noted elevated electromagnetic activity, unexplained cold spots, and recordings capturing faint voices when no one else is present. The gardens, in this sense, are not merely a setting of beauty, but a living canvas of memory, emotion, and lingering spirits. Visitors often describe the sensation of being followed along the winding pathways. Sometimes it is a shadow gliding just beyond the edge of vision. Sometimes it is a feeling, a pressure in the air, that seems to move with them. Guests recount turning corners only to find the path empty, the shadows gone, yet the sense of being observed persists. These experiences are not limited to the more secluded areas. Even in open spaces beneath the magnolia canopy, people report the same creeping awareness that something unseen is accompanying them. Some encounters are subtle yet unsettling, while others are startlingly vivid. There are accounts of hearing whispers repeat one's name, the voice soft but insistent. Others speak of hearing faint footsteps, matching their own pace, growing louder when they pause, fading when they resume walking. On particularly quiet nights, some have claimed to glimpse figures standing among the hedges, observing from a distance before vanishing entirely. These phenomena give the gardens a reputation as a place where the past and present intersect, a location where time and memory appear fluid, and the living are never truly alone. The trees and hedges themselves seem to carry a consciousness of their own. Windless evenings can bring the sensation of movement in the branches, as though unseen entities are passing through. Visitors often report that even when walking with others, they feel isolated, as if an invisible presence is walking alongside them alone. Sounds amplify in strange ways. The rustling of leaves may resemble whispered conversations, and the snapping of twigs may mimic footsteps that vanish when investigated. Despite the eerie occurrences, many continue to visit Houmas House gardens, drawn both by their natural beauty and the supernatural allure. People arrive with cameras, audio recorders, and curiosity, hoping for a glimpse into the mysteries of the estate. Some leave with chilling stories of shadows and whispers, others with a profound respect for the unseen residents of the gardens. The combination of history, atmosphere, and paranormal activity creates an experience that is at once beautiful and unsettling. LaLaurie Plantation in Vatchery stands as a testament to Louisiana's complex Creole history. Its elegant exterior, belying the tragic stories that linger within. Constructed in the early 19th century, the estate was once a bustling hub of plantation life, home to the Beauregard family and the enslaved men, women, and children who labored under harsh conditions. Today, the plantation draws visitors from across the world, intrigued not only by its architectural beauty and historical significance, but also by the eerie tales of restless spirits that persist through generations. Those who explore the plantation report a palpable shift in atmosphere as they approach the main house. The air grows heavy, and a sudden chill often greets visitors, even on warm days. The faint hum of lullabies is sometimes heard drifting through the halls or along the garden paths, the source elusive and impossible to locate. These sounds are described as soft and mournful, carrying the weight of sorrow and loss. Some believe the lullabies are the lingering echoes of enslaved mothers soothing their children, trapped in the memories of the house for centuries. Inside, shadowy figures are frequently reported near windows, lingering in corners, or gliding along hallways. These apparitions are sometimes described as fleeting glimpses of shape moving out of the corner of one's eye, only to vanish when attention is focused directly. Other times, visitors encounter more distinct forms, humanoid figures dressed in period clothing, paused as if caught between worlds. Staff and paranormal investigators alike have noted that certain rooms are particularly active, with objects shifting on their own, chairs rocking slightly, and doors opening or closing without explanation. These occurrences give the impression that the house itself remembers, replaying fragments of the past in subtle yet unsettling ways. The plantation's gardens are not exempt from these phenomena. Visitors strolling among the oak trees and magnolia blossoms have reported feeling unseen presences following them along the paths. Cold drafts sweep across open spaces without any discernible source, and shadows sometimes flit among the hedges, vanishing when approached. The gardens, while beautiful and meticulously maintained, are imbued with a sense of melancholy, a quiet reminder that the land is steeped in stories of human suffering and endurance. Several rooms within the main house are frequently cited as hotspots for paranormal activity. The master bedroom, once the domain of the Valcour family, has been the site of repeated reports of cold spots and fleeting figures. Some witnesses claim to see the shadow of a woman pacing near the bed, her features indistinct but her presence unmistakable. In the servants' quarters, the energy feels heavier, as though the memories of long hours of labor and quiet suffering have been imprinted into the very walls. Here, visitors sometimes hear murmurs of conversations, footsteps pacing the floors, or the faint sound of chains, though no physical evidence of such activity exists. Paranormal teams that have investigated LaLaurie Plantation consistently note that the activity is unpredictable but undeniable. Thermal imaging cameras often register unexplained cold areas, while audio recorders capture soft whispers and occasional muffled cries. Motion sensors and pressure-sensitive equipment sometimes trigger without human interaction, and objects have been observed moving without contact. Some researchers suggest that the plantation holds residual energy, a form of psychic imprint left behind by those who endured immense suffering and tragedy. Others believe the spirits remain conscious, observing the living and interacting in ways that are subtle yet persistent. The history of the plantation amplifies the sense of unease. The enslaved people who worked the land faced constant hardship, and many died on the property, their deaths sometimes violent or premature due to disease and poor living conditions. Generations of grief, fear, and longing are believed to have left an indelible mark on the estate, giving rise to the spectral phenomena reported today. Visitors often describe the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes tracking their movements, particularly near windows overlooking the river or in hallways where shadows gather. Even those visiting for historical tours often notice the strangeness. Cameras sometimes fail to function properly, recording devices capture unexplained sounds, and thermometers register sudden drops in temperature. Some guests report feeling a hand graze their shoulder or a light tug at their clothing, followed by the sensation of emptiness. While these events are brief, they are intense enough to leave lasting impressions on those who experience them. Tall windows, long corridors, and ornate furnishings provide ideal conditions for shadows and light to play tricks on the eye. At dusk, the interplay of fading sunlight and interior reflections can make rooms feel alive with movement, enhancing the perception of unseen presences. Visitors report that these experiences are not merely psychological. They often occur simultaneously with cold drafts, whispers, or other paranormal indicators, suggesting a connection between the physical and spiritual realms. Despite the chilling stories, LaLaurie Plantation remains a place of fascination. Its history, architecture, and ghostly legends attract tourists, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Many come seeking a glimpse into the past, whether to appreciate the plantation's grandeur or to encounter the spirits said to linger there. For some, the experience is deeply unsettling. For others, It is a sobering reminder of the human suffering that shaped the region. Magnolia Plantation in Baton Rouge is a striking reminder of Louisiana's layered history, where elegance and tragedy exist side by side. Built in the late 18th century, the plantation served as a home of wealthy landowners, while also functioning as a site of forced labor for enslaved men, women, and children. Today, Magnolia Mound is preserved as a historic site, celebrated for its French Creole architecture and lush grounds. Yet, beyond its beauty, visitors and staff report a darker, more unsettling presence lingering in the shadows of presence, tied to centuries of human suffering and untold stories. Guests approaching the plantation often notice a subtle shift in atmosphere. The air grows heavy, and a faint chill sometimes drifts across the grounds, even on the warmest of days. Visitors have described hearing soft, unexplained footsteps echoing along the creaking wooden floors of the main house, as if someone were walking just out of sight. These phantom steps often appear in rhythm with the imagination, moving from room to room, sometimes stopping abruptly, only to resume in another part of the house. Those who hear them often feel the weight of unseen eyes watching, an eerie sense of being observed by presences long departed from the mortal world. Inside the plantation, the stories grow more intense. Shadowy figures are reported throughout the hallways and rooms, moving silently and vanishing when attention is directed toward them. Some witnesses claim to see the silhouettes of enslaved workers, bent and hunched as if toiling with invisible tools. Others report glimpses of the plantation owners, dressed in period attire, appearing briefly near doorways or windows before dissolving into the air. These fleeting images are accompanied by sudden drops in temperature, leaving visitors shivering despite layers of clothing. Candlelit rooms intensify the effect, casting shadows that seem alive, turning ordinary corners into spaces of spectral activity. Whispers are another recurring phenomenon at Magnolia Mound. Guests and staff alike have reported hearing hushed voices in rooms long emptied of activity, often indistinct but unmistakably human. Some hear conversations, fragmented sentences, or the repetition of names that hold no apparent significance to the living. Other times, the whispers take the form of mournful pleas or soft calls, echoing through empty hallways as if the past itself is trying to speak. Paranormal investigators suggest that these sounds may be residual energy left by the many lives that passed through the plantation, imprinted upon the structure in a form that continues to manifest to this day. Several rooms within the main house have gained reputations as hotspots for paranormal activity. The bedrooms, in particular, seem to attract the most encounters. Objects appear to move on their own, chairs rocking slightly, doors creaking open or shut without cause, and personal items displaced inexplicably. Some visitors describe the sensation of being brushed past by unseen hands, or a sudden pressure against their shoulders, fleeting yet unnerving. Even tour guides and staff occasionally report experiences that cannot be explained by natural causes, reinforcing the belief that the spirits of Magnolia Mound are restless and aware. The plantation's gardens and grounds are equally affected by spectral occurrences. Strolling among the towering oak trees, hedges, and magnolia blossoms, visitors sometimes sense a presence following them along the paths. Cold drafts appear without any wind. Shadows shift unnaturally in the corners of vision, and occasional glimpses of figures vanishing among the trees have been reported. At dusk, the setting sun casting long shadows across the property creates an environment ripe for these ghostly manifestations, as if the land itself is alive with memories of the past. Historical context adds weight to these experiences. The enslaved individuals who worked at Magnolia Mound endured harsh conditions, and many died while living on the property. Their suffering, grief, and fear are believed by some to have left a lasting imprint on the plantation. Similarly, the tragedies and stresses experienced by the landowners are thought to contribute to the spectral activity, creating a unique blend of energies that permeate both the house and the grounds. Visitors often describe feeling an emotional heaviness, a palpable sense of the lives intertwined with the estate, as though the air itself remembers the struggles and joys of centuries past. Paranormal teams visiting Magnolia Mound frequently report unusual findings. Thermal imaging devices often register sudden cold spots, while audio recorders capture soft whispers, crying, or footsteps in areas with no human presence. Motion sensors sometimes trigger inexplicably, and objects have been observed shifting without contact. These occurrences suggest that both residual and conscious forms of spiritual energy may coexist within the plantation, leaving an indelible mark on anyone who enters. Despite the chilling experiences, Magnolia Mound remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts, tourists, and paranormal investigators. Visitors come to admire the architectural beauty and learn about the cultural significance of the Creole period. But many leave with stories of inexplicable events, lingering chills, and the haunting sensation of being observed. The plantation bridges the gap between the past and present, offering a tangible connection to history, while reminding all who enter that the echoes of human experience, both joyful and tragic, can linger long after those lives have ended. Bocage Plantation, located in Patterson, Louisiana, is a site where the grandeur of the past intersects uneasily with whispers of the supernatural. Built in the 19th century, the mansion was once the center of a prosperous estate, complete with sweeping verandas, ornate woodwork, and stately rooms that reflected the wealth of its owners. Yet behind its elegance lies a history marked by family tragedy, betrayal, and suffering, leaving an energy that many believe still lingers in the halls. Visitors to Bocage report an unsettling mix of beauty and fear, as if the plantation itself refuses to release the memories of those who once lived and died within its walls. From the moment one approaches Bocage, a sense of unease can permeate the air. Guests often describe sudden drops in temperature near the grand entrance and along the veranda, cold enough to make the hair on their arms stand on end. The surrounding trees and gardens, though lush in the daylight, take on a menacing quality in the evening shadows, seeming to whisper with unseen voices carried on the wind. Some visitors have reported hearing footsteps crunching on the gravel path outside, only to turn and see no one in sight. The atmosphere around Bocage is charged, as if the mansion is a vessel for the collective energies of its past inhabitants. Inside the mansion, the reports grow more intense. Shadowy figures are frequently observed, moving along the hallways and through rooms where visitors stand frozen. Some witnesses describe seeing apparitions of family members dressed in period clothing, their faces often indistinct but their presence undeniable. These figures appear to replay moments from their lives, pacing restlessly or gesturing silently, as if trapped in a loop of unfinished business. Doors are said to open and close on their own, sometimes with a force that startles those nearby, and objects occasionally shift slightly, leaving an unsettling sense of being observed. Whispers are a common experience at Bocage Plantation, often described as heated arguments or hushed conversations that suddenly cease when one attempts to listen more closely. Visitors report hearing phrases and names that have no apparent connection to the living, carried faintly through corridors and echoing in empty rooms. Some have felt a presence at their side, only to find nothing when they turn, accompanied by a sudden chill that snakes through the body. These auditory phenomena are often strongest near the family's former bedrooms, in common areas, suggesting that the emotional residue of past conflicts has imprinted itself on the mansion's spaces. Several rooms within Bocage are particularly active. The main parlor, with its polished floors and ornate furniture, is known for shadowy figures gliding across the room as if attending an invisible gathering. Guests have reported sensing eyes watching from behind curtains or through windows, and the faint scent of perfumes, long faded, can sometimes be detected, clinging to the air as a ghostly trace. The dining hall, once a place of celebration and family gatherings, is often the site of reported whispers, footsteps, and the shifting of chairs, as if unseen diners still convene at the long table. The mansion's upstairs bedrooms carry a reputation for the most chilling encounters. Visitors have described seeing the silhouettes of women in period gowns standing at windows or moving through walls. Some have experienced the sensation of cold fingers brushing against their skin, and there are reports of disembodied voices calling out in distress. Paranormal investigators suggest that these occurrences may represent both residual hauntings, the replay of historical events, and interactive spirits aware of the living presence, capable of making their presence known in subtle but unmistakable ways. Even the gardens and surrounding grounds of Bocage Plantation contribute to its haunted reputation. Strolling along the overgrown paths at twilight, some visitors report glimpses of figures moving among the trees or along the edges of the property, only to vanish when approached. Cold drafts and unexplained sounds of laughter or sobbing have been reported drifting through the air, especially near the old slave quarters and outbuildings. The plantation's isolation, coupled with its tragic history, creates an environment where the boundary between past and present feels thin, and the spirits of those who suffered and died here seem never far away. Historical tragedies at Bocage have cemented its reputation. The family who once lived here experienced multiple deaths, betrayals, and misfortunes, and these events appear to have left an imprint on the mansion itself. Enslaved individuals who lived and labored on the property also contribute to the lingering energy, their suffering and toil echoing through time. Visitors often remark on the heavy, oppressive atmosphere in certain areas, feeling a weight of history that is both emotional and inexplicable. Paranormal teams investigating Bocage report a range of phenomena. Thermal imaging frequently detects cold spots in empty rooms, while audio devices capture whispers and footsteps that have no natural source. Motion sensors sometimes trigger without cause, and objects occasionally move in ways that defy explanation. These experiences suggest that both residual energy and conscious spirits may coexist within the mansion, continuing to interact with the environment and with those who enter. Despite the chilling encounters, Bocage Plantation remains a site of fascination. Tourists, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts are drawn not only to its architectural beauty but also to the layers of history and the spectral experiences that accompany them. Walking through its corridors, visitors gain a tangible sense of the lives, tragedies, and unresolved tensions that have left their mark. The mansion serves as a reminder that history is not only recorded in documents and photographs, but also preserved in the subtle, lingering presence of those who once inhabited the spaces. San Francisco Plantation, located along the banks of the Mississippi River in Gallier, Louisiana, is a striking example of antebellum architecture. Its white columns and intricate ironwork standing as a testament to the wealth and refinement of the Creole family who once lived there. But beneath its elegant exterior lies a history steeped in sorrow, mystery, and reported paranormal activity that has intrigued visitors for decades. The plantation, built in the mid-19th century, became home to a Creole family whose lives were entwined with the grandeur and tragedy of the era. Stories passed down through generations speak of opulence, power, and, tragically, death. It is perhaps these very tragedies that many believe have left an imprint on the home, giving rise to its reputation as one of the most haunted plantations in Louisiana. Visitors to San Francisco Plantation often describe the house as having a palpable presence, a sense that it is more than just a building. Even during the daytime, there is a stillness that hangs over the grand hallways, a quiet that feels almost watchful. Some report sudden drops in temperature as they step from one room to another, while others notice a faint chill that seems to follow them as they explore the expansive interior. The air can feel thick, heavy with a sense of history and lingering emotion. Many who visit alone describe the sensation of being observed, even when no one else is present. Among the most commonly reported phenomena are the sounds of laughter echoing through rooms that appear empty. Guests often say they hear light, high-pitched giggles, or the muffled laughter of children. Yet when they turn to investigate, the rooms remain unoccupied. This laughter is sometimes accompanied by the faint rustling of period clothing, as if the original inhabitants are moving about the house unseen. These experiences are not limited to the grand ballroom or formal parlors. Even the modest bedrooms, the kitchen, and the servants' quarters are reported to carry these unsettling sounds. Some historians and paranormal enthusiasts suggest that these auditory manifestations may be residual echoes of the daily life that once filled the plantation, frozen in time and replaying under certain conditions. Ghostly figures have also been seen by both casual visitors and paranormal investigators. Several reports describe apparitions in period attire, including women in long, flowing dresses and men in formal Creole suits. These figures are often described as transparent or semi-transparent, their features hazy, but their presence unmistakable. Some witnesses claim to have seen these figures moving silently through hallways, gliding rather than walking, and vanishing as suddenly as they appeared. One common account involves a young woman in a white dress seen descending the main staircase late at night, only to disappear before reaching the bottom. These sightings suggest that the spirits of the original family and their associates may still linger, unable or unwilling to leave the plantation behind. Doors opening and closing on their own are another frequent phenomenon reported at San Francisco Plantation. Visitors and staff alike have described doors slamming shut without warning, often in the middle of conversations or during moments of calm. Some doors are said to swing open slowly as if pushed by an invisible hand, only to stop abruptly and remain ajar. While drafts and structural shifts could account for some of these occurrences, the consistency and timing of these events have convinced many that they are the result of supernatural forces. Investigators have documented instances of doors moving in patterns that defy logic, occurring simultaneously in separate areas of the house, creating an atmosphere of disquiet and tension. Paranormal investigators who have spent extensive time at the plantation frequently describe an overwhelming sense of unease that seems to permeate the property. This sensation is often accompanied by physical reactions such as goosebumps, sudden chills, and the feeling of a presence pressing close. Some investigators report hearing whispers in languages they do not understand or experiencing the sensation of being touched by invisible hands. Others claim that their equipment, from cameras to audio recorders, behaves erratically, capturing unexplained anomalies that appear and vanish without explanation. These experiences reinforce the belief that the plantation harbors spirits who are aware of and perhaps even interactive with those who enter their domains. The history of the plantation may provide context for these reported hauntings. The original Creole family who built and lived in the home were known for their prominence and influence in the region. Yet their lives were not without hardship. Illness, financial struggles, and tragic accidents affected multiple generations. And it is believed that some deaths occurred under particularly traumatic circumstances. In the context of paranormal theory, such intense emotional events are thought to create lingering energy imprints, which could account for the persistent presence of spirits at the plantation. Researchers studying San Francisco Plantation often note that the areas with the most reports of activity bedrooms, the main hallway, and the staircase are also the locations tied to some of the family's most dramatic and emotional events. Visitors continue to be drawn to San Francisco Plantation, not only for its historical significance, but also for the thrill of experiencing its alleged hauntings firsthand. Guided tours frequently include stories of ghost sightings and strange occurrences, allowing guests to explore both the architectural splendor and the darker, more mysterious aspects of the home. Some patrons intentionally visit at night, hoping to witness the unexplained phenomena that daytime visitors have recounted. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts often try to capture evidence of the apparitions and other unusual events, although tangible proof remains elusive, contributing to the plantation's mystique. Despite or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, San Francisco Plantation endures as a site of fascination. Its combination of historical elegance, tragic backstory, and reported supernatural activity creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For many, the allure lies in the possibility of encountering something beyond the ordinary, a brush with a past that refuses to remain buried. The plantation stands as a reminder of how deeply history and human emotion can intertwine, leaving traces that linger long after the original inhabitants have passed away. San Francisco Plantation remains a hauntingly beautiful monument, its legacy woven with both grandeur and ghostly whispers. Visitors, Historians and paranormal investigators alike continue to share stories that echo the plantation's reputation as a home where the past never truly rests. Every laugh in the empty room, every flicker of movement in the corner of the eye, and every inexplicable slam of a door serves as a reminder that some histories are too powerful to fade and some spirits too restless to leave. The plantation, with its combination of elegance and eerie mystery, ensures that its stories will continue to captivate and terrify all who cross its threshold. Evergreen Plantation, nestled near Wallace, Louisiana, stands as one of the most well-preserved examples of antebellum architecture in the region. Its grand brick facade and expansive oak-lined grounds, a testament to the wealth and influence of the family who once owned it. But behind its stately exterior lies a history shadowed by hardship, sorrow, and the labor of the enslaved individuals who built and maintained the estate. Over the decades, Evergreen has developed a reputation not only for its historical significance, but also for the unexplained occurrences reported by visitors, historians, and paranormal investigators alike. The plantation is widely regarded as haunted, its halls echoing with the presence of both the enslaved workers and the family who once lived there, their energies lingering in ways that continue to fascinate and unsettle those who walk its corridors. Visitors to Evergreen Plantation often describe an eerie atmosphere that seems to grow heavier as they explore the house and its outbuildings. The main corridors, with their polished floors and high ceilings, are frequently reported as sites where shadowy figures appear. Guests have recounted glimpses of people in period clothing, sometimes moving silently along the hallways or disappearing around corners before they can be approached. The figures are often described as transparent or ghostly, yet their presence is unmistakable, leaving a chill in the air and a sense that the past is observing the present. Some sightings include men and women in work attire, believed to represent the enslaved laborers who once toiled on the plantation, while others are thought to be members of the family who owned the estate. Their appearances occasionally accompanied by the sounds of conversation or murmured voices. Phantom footsteps are among the most common phenomena reported at Evergreen. Guests walking through the plantation's hallways and empty rooms often hear the distinct sound of shoes or bare feet crossing the wooden floors, sometimes pacing slowly, sometimes in hurried movement, though no one is visible. These footsteps can be heard in areas that have been long abandoned or rarely used, adding to the sense of unease. Some visitors have reported hearing the steps approach and recede, as if the unseen figures are moving in a loop, performing the routines of life that once filled the plantation. Paranormal investigators often record these sounds with audio equipment, capturing faint echoes that seem to correspond with the testimonies of those who experienced them firsthand. Whispers are another hallmark of the plantation's haunted reputation. Many who enter Evergreen speak of faint voices carried on the wind or echoing within rooms, sometimes indistinct and other times forming discernible words or phrases. These whispers are often reported in old bedrooms or sitting rooms where the original family members once spent time, and they are sometimes accompanied by an inexplicable feeling of being watched. Visitors describe the whispers as low and urgent, sometimes conversational, other times almost mournful. Some theorists suggest these sounds are residual energy, emotional imprints left behind by both the enslaved workers and the family, replaying moments of stress, sorrow, or daily life that were once commonplace in the home. Temperature fluctuations are frequently reported at Evergreen Plantation. Certain areas, particularly the bedrooms and corridors in the older sections of the house, often experience sudden drops in temperature, even during warm days. Guests report feeling a cold breeze brush past them, or an icy chill settling over their shoulders, with no apparent source. These cold spots are often associated with sightings of shadowy figures, or the sounds of phantom footsteps and whispers, reinforcing the impression that the plantation is a site of lingering spectral activity. Paranormal investigators have noted that these temperature drops often correspond with other unexplained phenomena, suggesting a concentration of supernatural energy in specific areas of the home. The history of Evergreen Plantation provides context for these reported hauntings. The estate was built in the 18th century and was home to a family whose wealth and social position were intimately tied to the labor of enslaved individuals. Life for the enslaved community was arduous, and records indicate that the plantation was a site of intense labor, strict discipline, and emotional strain. Deaths from disease, accidents, and other hardships were not uncommon, leaving behind an imprint of sorrow and trauma. Some historians and paranormal enthusiasts believe that these intense emotional experiences may have contributed to the lingering presence of spirits, both of the enslaved and the owners, creating a complex and often unsettling spiritual landscape within the plantation. Many visitors are drawn to Evergreen Plantation, not only for its historical significance, but also for the opportunity to experience its alleged hauntings firsthand. Guided tours frequently highlight the reported ghost sightings and strange phenomena, allowing guests to explore the grand home and its outbuildings, while learning about the plantation's complex history. Some visitors deliberately venture into less accessible areas, hoping to encounter the shadowy figures, hear the whispers, or feel the sudden chills that have been reported so often. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts attempt to capture evidence of these phenomena, though tangible proof remains elusive, adding to the air of mystery and reinforcing the plantation's haunted reputation. Paranormal investigators describe Evergreen Plantation as a place of intense energy. Those who spend extended time within its walls often report feelings of being watched, sudden emotional shifts, or an unexplainable heaviness in the air. Audio and video equipment sometimes capture anomalies, from unexplained noises to faint visual disturbances, which cannot be readily explained by environmental factors. These experiences suggest that the spirits of both the enslaved workers and the owners may still be active in some form, replaying echoes of their lives or interacting with those who enter their domain. Evergreen Plantation continues to captivate the imagination of historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and visitors alike. Its blend of historical importance, architectural beauty, and reported supernatural activity creates an atmosphere both alluring and unsettling. The shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills serve as reminders that the plantation is not merely a relic of the past, but a place where history and memory seem to linger, refusing to be forgotten. For many who step through its doors, the experience is unforgettable, leaving them with stories of ghostly encounters and a profound sense of the lives that once shaped this remarkable and haunted estate. Felicity House, located in the heart of New Orleans, Louisiana, stands as a testament to the city's complex history, blending the elegance of antebellum architecture with the darker stories of its past. Its stately facade and ornate ironwork draw visitors from across the region, but those who enter the mansion often leave with experiences that go far beyond architectural appreciation. Over the years, Felicity House has developed a reputation for intense and unsettling spectral activity, attracting paranormal enthusiasts, historians, and curious tourists eager to explore its eerie corridors and uncover the mysteries hidden within its walls. The mansion is notorious for incidents that suggest the lingering presence of spirits, their energies seemingly bound to the tragedies and secrets of previous generations. Many who visit Felicity House describe a palpable sense of unease as soon as they step across its threshold. The grand entryway, with its polished floors and sweeping staircase, often feels charged with an invisible energy, a sensation of being watched that persists even in the absence of other people. Guests frequently report sudden chills, inexplicable cold spots, and a heavy atmosphere in certain rooms, particularly the old bedrooms and upstairs corridors. These phenomena are not fleeting, they often linger, intensifying the further visitors explore the house. Paranormal investigators who have spent extended time inside Felicity House frequently describe overwhelming sensations of tension, as if the air itself carries the emotional weight of the mansion's history. One of the most commonly reported occurrences at Felicity House is the sound of arguments echoing through empty hallways. Visitors often recount hearing heated discussions, voices raised in anger or frustration, yet when they investigate, no one is present. These auditory experiences are described as vivid and realistic, with distinct tones, pacing, and intensity, as if the conversations were frozen in time and replaying on a loop. Some witnesses have reported hearing snippets of dialogue, often discussing matters of betrayal, loss, or fear, leading many to believe that the mansion's energy is tied to unresolved emotional trauma from past residents. These recurring arguments are frequently heard near rooms associated with the original family's private quarters, adding to the sense that the mansion retains memories of the people who once lived there. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of Felicity House's haunting. Guests have described fleeting glimpses of figures moving past windows, standing in hallways, or disappearing through walls. These apparitions are often described as indistinct, almost translucent, yet they leave an unmistakable impression of presence. Some witnesses have reported seeing figures dressed in period attire, moving with deliberate purpose, as if continuing the routines of their lives long after death. Others describe shapes that shift and melt into the shadows, leaving only a sense of movement and the eerie impression that the mansion is inhabited by invisible occupants. The appearances often coincide with other phenomena, such as cold spots or whispers, suggesting that the spirits may be aware of those who enter their domain. Perhaps the most unnerving aspect of Felicity House is the sensation of unseen hands brushing past visitors. Guests frequently report feeling light touches on their arms, shoulders, or back, often in moments of stillness or quiet observation. Some describe these touches as fleeting and gentle, while others recount experiences that feel more insistent, as if attempting to guide or communicate. The phenomenon can occur in any part of the mansion, but is particularly common near doorways, staircases, and hallways. Investigators note that these tactile experiences are often accompanied by heightened emotional responses, from sudden fear to inexplicable sadness, reinforcing the belief that the mansion is charged with the lingering emotions of its former inhabitants. Felicity House's haunted reputation is closely tied to its history. Built in the 19th century, the mansion was home to a prominent family whose wealth and social standing were matched only by personal tragedies. Death, illness, and familial conflict marked the lives of its residents, leaving behind intense emotional energy that many believe contributes to the spectral phenomena reported today. Stories of betrayal, untimely deaths, and domestic disputes provide a plausible explanation for the recurring arguments, while the sorrow and tension experienced by the family may account for the mansion's restless energy. Paranormal experts suggest that locations with high emotional intensity, particularly those tied to trauma or conflict, are more likely to retain spiritual imprints, a theory that aligns with the experiences described by visitors to Felicity House. Visitors and paranormal enthusiasts continue to be drawn to Felicity House, eager to witness its unexplained phenomena firsthand. Guided tours frequently highlight the mansion's haunted history, pointing out areas where ghostly activity has been reported most frequently. Some guests deliberately explore the house after dark, hoping to encounter the shadowy figures, hear the arguments in the hallways, or feel the brush of an unseen hand. The uncertainty only adds to the allure, enhancing the mansion's mystique and reinforcing its reputation as a site where the past refuses to remain dormant. Paranormal investigators describe Felicity House as a place of concentrated energy, where the emotional remnants of its past residents interact with those who enter. Experiences recorded within the mansion range from auditory phenomena and visual apparitions to tactile sensations and sudden environmental changes, creating an atmosphere that is both compelling and unsettling. These occurrences suggest that the spirits may be replaying fragments of their lives or communicating through subtle interactions, leaving those who encounter them with an unforgettable impression of the mansion's haunted presence. Felicity House endures as a site of fascination because it represents more than just architectural beauty. It is a living connection to the human experiences of the past. The laughter, arguments, shadows, and touches reported by visitors serve as reminders that the mansion is not merely a relic but a vessel for memory, emotion, and lingering spirit. Each unexplained noise, each fleeting figure, and each sudden chill contributes to the enduring legend of Felicity House, a mansion where history and the supernatural converge. Visitors leave with stories that extend beyond the walls of the house, recounting encounters that defy logic and evoke a profound awareness of lives once lived within the mansion's ornate rooms. Felicity House remains a haunting, captivating presence in New Orleans, its restless energy ensuring that the stories of its past residents continue to echo through the halls for generations to come. Magnolia Plantation, located in St. Francisville, Louisiana, stands as a haunting reminder of the grandeur and complexity of the antebellum South, with its stately columns, sprawling gardens, and ornate architecture. The estate is a living testament to the wealth and influence of the families who once lived there. Yet beneath the elegant exterior lies a history entwined with sorrow, labor, and the lingering presence of those who called the plantation home, both the family who owned it and the servants who worked tirelessly to maintain its splendor. Over the years, Magnolia Plantation has gained a reputation as one of the most haunted estates in Louisiana, drawing visitors intrigued by both its history and the paranormal experiences reported by those who walk its halls. Visitors to Magnolia Plantation often speak of an immediate sense of unease upon entering the house. The grand rooms, polished floors, and high ceilings carry a weight beyond mere architecture. Many describe an invisible presence, a feeling that the walls themselves are alive with memory. Sudden drops in temperature are common, particularly in areas such as the bedrooms, dining halls, and upper hallways. Guests report icy drafts that seem to follow them from room to room, and sometimes the cold is so intense that it is physically perceptible, even on warm Louisiana days. Paranormal investigators have long noted these phenomena, recording cold spots that defy natural explanation and correspond with areas where other ghostly activity has been reported. One of the most frequently mentioned manifestations at Magnolia Plantation is the sound of phantom music. Visitors have reported hearing the faint strains of piano melodies, violin tunes, or music that seems to originate from rooms long abandoned. Some describe the music as elegant and melancholic, echoing through the hallways as though a ghostly hand were playing a private recital. Others recount hearing laughter or the soft murmur of conversation accompanying the music, as if the sounds are remnants of past gatherings, preserved in the air itself. These auditory experiences are often fleeting, disappearing when one tries to locate their source. But their presence leaves a lasting impression and contributes to the estate's reputation as a site of lingering spirits. Shadowy figures are another common occurrence. Guests and investigators alike have reported seeing fleeting silhouettes in the corridors, sometimes moving with purpose, other times pausing as if aware of being watched. These figures are often described as transparent or partially obscured, their features indistinct, yet their presence unmistakable. Some appear dressed in period attire, reflecting the clothing styles of both the family and the servants from generations past. One common account involves a figure moving along the upper hallway late at night, vanishing when approached, leaving behind only a cold gust and a feeling of being observed. Many visitors believe these figures are the spirits of those who lived and worked on the plantation, caught in a timeless echo of daily life. Paranormal encounters at Magnolia Plantation are not limited to visual and auditory phenomena. Guests often report sensations of being touched or brushed by unseen hands, particularly near doorways, staircases, and hallways. These touches can be subtle, a light pressure on the shoulder or arm, or more insistent, leaving a sudden chill or a sense of urgency. Some investigators have noted that these tactile experiences often coincide with other activity, such as phantom footsteps, whispers, or the appearance of shadowy figures. The combination of sensory experiences creates an immersive environment, one that suggests the plantation holds an emotional resonance that extends beyond physical presence. The history of Magnolia Plantation provides context for its haunting. Built in the early 19th century, the estate was home to a prominent family whose wealth and influence were intertwined with the labor of enslaved individuals. Life on the plantation involved both refinement and hardship, with records of personal tragedy, disease, and the relentless demands of labor, shaping the experiences of all who lived there. Historians note that many deaths occurred under difficult circumstances, leaving emotional energy that some believe has imprinted itself on the house and grounds. Paranormal experts suggest that locations marked by intense human emotion, whether grief, fear, or joy, can retain spiritual imprints. And Magnolia Plantation's long history of familial and servant activity makes it particularly conducive to such lingering presence. Visitors to the estate often recount stories of inexplicable phenomena. Some hear whispering voices in rooms where no one is present, while others feel sudden chills near the grand staircase or in the old servant quarters. Many who explore the grounds at night describe a sense of being followed or watched, as if the sorrow and struggles of generations past continue to occupy the space alongside the living. The haunting of Magnolia Plantation is often described as a blending of histories. The spirits of the family and those of the servants coexist, their energies layered in a complex web that reflects the social and emotional dynamics of the past. While some apparitions appear benevolent or neutral, simply moving through the estate as they might have in life, others convey a sense of unrest, tension, or sorrow. Paranormal investigators suggest that these lingering presences are tied to the unresolved emotions, hardships, and tragedies that have marked the plantation over centuries. The echoes of daily life, from music and conversation to footsteps and whispered words, create an immersive atmosphere that continues to captivate visitors. Despite its haunted reputation, Magnolia Plantation remains a popular destination for those interested in history, architecture, and the paranormal. Guided tours often highlight the reported ghostly activity, allowing visitors to experience both the physical beauty of the estate and the mysterious energy that permeates its halls. Some guests deliberately explore the house after dark, hoping to witness shadowy figures, hear the phantom music, or feel the touch of unseen hands. The uncertainty of these encounters, combined with the rich historical backdrop, creates a powerful allure that draws people back time and again. Magnolia Plantation endures as a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. Its grand rooms, sprawling gardens, and ornate architecture conceal an invisible narrative of sorrow, labor, and lingering spirits. Phantom music, cold spots, shadowy figures, and whispers serve as reminders that the plantation is more than a historic site. It is a vessel for memory and emotion. Visitors leave with experiences that defy explanation, carrying with them the lingering sense that Magnolia Plantation is a home where the past refuses to rest, where the sorrow of generations continues to echo through the halls, and where the presence of those who lived and labored there can still be felt in every corner of the estate. Old River Plantation, situated along the banks of the Mississippi River in Vittori, Louisiana, is a striking example of antebellum architecture. Its grand columns and sprawling grounds standing as silent witnesses to a history filled with both opulence and sorrow. The estate, built in the 19th century, was home to a wealthy family whose fortunes were closely tied to the labor of enslaved individuals. And it is this complex past that many believe has left an indelible mark on the property. Over the decades, Old River Plantation has developed a reputation for paranormal activity, drawing historians, tourists, and ghost hunters intrigued by the unsettling experiences reported by those who step across its threshold. The estate's atmosphere is charged with a sense of lingering history, and for many visitors, the mansion seems less like a structure of brick and timber than a repository of restless spirits. Visitors to Old River Plantation often describe an immediate sensation of unease as they enter the grand home. The high ceilings, polished floors, and intricate woodwork are overshadowed by a heavy, almost oppressive air, as if the very walls are saturated with the emotions of generations past. Sudden drops in temperature are commonly reported, particularly in the older sections of the house. Guests speak of icy drafts that appear with no apparent source, leaving them shivering even on warm days. Paranormal investigators frequently note these cold spots, documenting instances where the temperature can drop several degrees within moments, often coinciding with areas associated with previous reports of ghostly sightings. Such phenomena suggest that the mansion retains energy from events long ago, frozen in time and manifesting in subtle, chilling ways. Shadowy figures are among the most commonly reported paranormal occurrences at Old River Plantation. Visitors have described vague, semi-transparent forms moving through hallways, standing in corners, or disappearing into walls before they can be closely observed. These figures often appear dressed in period attire, reflecting the fashion of both the plantation owners and the enslaved individuals who lived and worked on the estate. One frequent account involves a dark silhouette appearing near the staircase, only to vanish when approached, leaving behind a lingering chill and a sense of being watched. Such sightings are not limited to the main house. Some guests have reported seeing fleeting figures among the gardens and outbuildings, suggesting that the spirits may extend beyond the walls of the mansion, bound to the entire property. Whispers and murmurs are another hallmark of the plantation's haunted reputation. Guests often report hearing soft voices in empty rooms, fragments of conversation that seem to echo from another time. These whispers can be indistinct or surprisingly clear, sometimes conveying emotions of fear, sorrow, or anger. Visitors describe the sensation of hearing words meant only for the dead, a reminder that the house carries the imprints of the lives that once unfolded within its walls. Paranormal investigators suggest that such phenomena may be examples of residual energy, echoes of intense emotional moments preserved in the environment, replaying for those sensitive enough to perceive them. The history of Old River Plantation provides context for these reported hauntings. Built in the early 1800s, the estate was a center of wealth and influence. Yet life on the plantation was fraught with hardship and tragedy. The enslaved individuals who labored to maintain the grounds and household endured extreme physical and emotional strain, while the family residing in the mansion faced personal losses, financial pressures, and social turmoil. Deaths, accidents, and episodes of illness marked the lives of those connected to the property, leaving behind emotional energy that some believe manifests as the paranormal activity reported today. These layers of sorrow and tension may explain why the mansion's spirits are described as restless, their presence persistent and often palpable to visitors. In addition to auditory and visual phenomena, some guests report physical sensations that suggest a tangible interaction with the unseen. Many describe feeling sudden touches or brushes on their arms, shoulders, or back, often when moving through hallways or ascending staircases. These touches are fleeting but unmistakable, leaving a sense of urgency or awareness in those who experience them. Investigators note that such tactile encounters often coincide with other activity, including cold spots, whispers, or the appearance of shadowy figures, creating an immersive and sometimes disorienting experience for those exploring the plantation. Visitors to Old River Plantation continue to be drawn by both its architectural beauty and its haunted reputation. Guided tours often include accounts of past paranormal experiences, encouraging guests to explore the estate as historic rooms and grounds with an eye toward encountering the unexplained. Some tourists choose to visit at night, hoping to witness shadowy figures or hear the whispers that have become synonymous with the mansion. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts frequently attempt to capture evidence of the activity, though tangible proof remains elusive, adding to the estate's mystique and reinforcing its status as a site of supernatural intrigue. Paranormal investigators describe Old River Plantation as a location where the energy of the past is concentrated, creating a space that is both compelling and unsettling. Auditory phenomena, visual apparitions, sudden temperature drops, and physical sensations all contribute to an environment that seems alive with memories, emotions, and unresolved events. The overlapping presence of family members, servants, and other inhabitants suggests a complex spiritual ecosystem, one in which the stories of those who lived and worked on the plantation continue to play out in subtle yet striking ways. Old River Plantation endures as a site where history and the supernatural converge. Its shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills remind visitors that the estate is not merely a relic of the past, but a living repository of memory, emotion, and spirit. Guests leave with experiences that defy explanation, carrying with them the impression that the plantation holds the sorrow, tension, and resilience of generations past. Each unexplained noise, fleeting shadow, and icy gust reinforces the enduring reputation of Old River Plantation as a haunted estate where the past remains ever present, and the spirits of the mansion's history continue to roam its halls. Bocage Plantation, located in Patterson, Louisiana, is widely recognized not only for its antebellum grandeur, but also for the persistent whispers of the past that linger within its walls. The sprawling estate, with its long veranda, ornate woodwork, and meticulously maintained gardens, stands as a reminder of a time when wealth, social standing, and the labor of enslaved individuals defined life along the Mississippi. Yet beyond the visual elegance of the plantation lies a history steeped in sorrow, mystery, and tragedy elements that many believe have left behind a spiritual imprint. Over the years, Bocage Plantation has become notorious for paranormal activity, drawing historians, tourists, and ghost enthusiasts eager to explore the house's shadowed halls and encounter the lingering spirits of both the family and those who served them. Visitors to Bocage often describe a heavy, almost tangible atmosphere as they step across the plantation's threshold. The air in the grand halls and intimate rooms can feel dense, charged with a sense of watchfulness and lingering emotion. Sudden chills are a common experience, sometimes accompanied by goosebumps or a shiver that runs down the spine, even on warm Louisiana afternoons. These cold spots often appear in rooms that have been sealed or uninhabited for decades, creating the unnerving impression that the house itself is aware of each new arrival. Paranormal investigators have documented these temperature drops repeatedly, noting that they frequently coincide with other unexplained occurrences, suggesting a concentration of spiritual energy within specific areas of the mansion. Apparitions are among the most frequently reported phenomena at Bocage. Guests have described shadowy figures moving along the veranda, gliding silently across the polished floors, or disappearing around corners before they can be approached. Some of these figures are believed to represent family members from the plantation's past, while others appear to be servants who once worked tirelessly to maintain the household. Witnesses often report seeing individuals dressed in period attire, their forms partially transparent but unmistakable in their presence. One common account involves a young woman in a long dress appearing on the veranda at dusk, pausing to look out over the gardens before vanishing as suddenly as she appeared. These sightings create an immersive sense of the plantation as a place where past and present coexist, and where the lives of those who lived and labored here continue to echo. The sounds of Bocage are just as compelling as its visual phenomena. Visitors frequently report hearing laughter echoing through hallways, faint giggles that seem to belong to children or young women, only to find the rooms empty when they investigate. Others describe hearing cries or muffled sobs, often near bedrooms or private chambers, suggesting moments of grief or distress captured in the atmosphere of the house. Some accounts include the sensation of multiple voices overlapping, as if both joy and sorrow coexist in the same space, a reflection of the plantation's complex history. These auditory experiences often leave a lasting impression, heightening the sense that the mansion is alive with the memory of those who once inhabited it. Physical sensations also play a significant role in the haunting of Bocage. Guests have reported feeling invisible hands brush against their arms or shoulders, sometimes gentle, other times insistent, as if trying to guide or communicate. These experiences frequently occur in conjunction with other paranormal activity, such as sudden chills, whispers, or glimpses of apparitions. Investigators note that the combination of sensory phenomena contributes to a deeply immersive atmosphere, one that seems to blur the line between the living and the dead. The estate's energy appears to resonate with both the family's history and the labor of the servants, creating a layered spiritual environment that is uniquely unsettling. The history of Bocage Plantation provides insight into its spectral activity. Built in the early 19th century, the estate was home to a prominent family whose wealth was dependent on the labor of enslaved individuals. Life on the plantation involved both refinement and suffering, with deaths, illness, and personal tragedies leaving deep emotional marks. Historians note that family conflicts and episodes of misfortune contributed to the emotional intensity of the home, while the experiences of the servants, many of whom endured hardship and deprivation, added a complex and often overlooked layer to the plantation's legacy. Paranormal experts suggest that such intense human experiences, particularly those marked by strong emotion, can leave residual energy, creating conditions conducive to haunting. Many visitors are drawn to Bocage, not only for its historical significance, but also for the opportunity to experience its ghostly presence firsthand. Guided tours often recount stories of past hauntings, inviting guests to explore the grand rooms, verandas, and gardens while remaining alert to the unexplained. Some guests intentionally visit at night, hoping to witness shadowy figures, hear the laughter and cries, or feel the cold gusts that have become synonymous with the plantation's supernatural reputation. Photographers and paranormal investigators attempt to capture evidence of the activity, from orbs of light to moving shadows, though tangible proof remains elusive, reinforcing the mansion's mystique and drawing more visitors eager to witness the unexplained. Paranormal investigators describe Bocage as a location of intense energy, where both family and servant spirits coexist. The overlapping presence of joy, sorrow, and lingering tension creates an environment that is as emotionally resonant as it is eerie. Guests often report that the mansion feels alive, its unseen occupants aware of their movements and perhaps even interacting with them in subtle ways. The combination of visual, auditory, and tactile phenomena makes Bocage Plantation a unique site where history and the supernatural intersect, and where the lives of those who built, lived, and worked on the estate continue to echo through time. Bocage Plantation endures as a place where the past refuses to rest. Shadowy figures along the veranda, laughter and cries in empty rooms, sudden chills, and invisible touches all serve as reminders that the estate is not merely a historical site, but a repository of memory, emotion, and spirit. Visitors leave with experiences that defy explanation, carrying with them the sense that Bocage is alive in ways that transcend the ordinary. The shadows of the past continue to move through its halls, ensuring that the haunting legacy of the plantation remains vivid and unforgettable for generations of those who walk its floors. The Nottaway Plantation, in White Castle, Louisiana, is renowned for its grandeur, with its stately mansion and sprawling grounds reflecting the wealth and influence of its antebellum owners. Yet, beyond the elegance of the main house, lie the slave quarters, humble structures that stand as silent witnesses to a history of toil, suffering, and resilience. Over the decades, these quarters have gained a reputation that is far more ominous than the mansion itself. Visitors, historians, and paranormal investigators alike have reported experiences that suggest the old buildings are alive with the presence of spirits, lingering echoes of those who once lived, worked, and suffered there. The Nottaway slave quarters are considered among the most haunted sites in the region, their shadows and sounds offering a stark reminder of the human cost behind the plantation's beauty. Visitors to the quarters often describe an immediate sense of unease, even during the bright hours of the day. The weathered wooden structures, their paint faded and timbers warped with age, seem to carry a weight that goes beyond their physical decay. The air around them often feels heavy, almost stagnant, yet charged with an invisible energy. Some guests report sudden drops in temperature as they walk among the cabins, a coldness so sharp it penetrates coats and layers of clothing. Paranormal investigators have documented these cold spots repeatedly, noting that they often correspond with locations where other spectral activity has been observed. The sensation of a chilling breeze or icy air with no logical source creates an almost immediate awareness that these quarters are different from the surrounding grounds. One of the most frequently reported phenomena at Nottaway is the sighting of shadowy figures. Visitors recount glimpsing dark silhouettes moving along the perimeters of the quarters or disappearing, into the corners of the small rooms. Some witnesses claim to have seen figures crouched, as if performing chores or tending to fires, while others have observed standing forms that appear to watch silently before vanishing. Many of these sightings are believed to represent the spirits of the enslaved individuals who once lived there, their presence bound to the spaces they occupied daily. The figures often vanish when approached, leaving behind only a fleeting impression and a lingering sense of being observed. In addition to visual phenomena, the Nottaway slave quarters are known for auditory experiences that unsettle even the most skeptical visitors. Guests often report hearing disembodied voices, fragments of conversation, or whispered words that seem to come from the very walls. These voices can be indistinct murmurs or clearer phrases, sometimes conveying emotions such as fear, anger, or sorrow. Phantom footsteps are also commonly described, echoing across wooden floors or gravel paths when no one else is present. The sounds can be erratic, moving from room to room or along the exterior of the structures, giving the impression of activity from unseen occupants. Investigators suggest that these auditory manifestations may be residual energy, echoes of past life, frozen in time, replaying under certain conditions. Tactile experiences are another unsettling aspect of the hauntings. Several visitors report feeling cold hands touch their shoulders or brush past them as they move through the quarters. The sensations are often sudden and fleeting, leaving a sharp awareness of something unseen in close proximity. Some describe a momentary pressure on their back or arm, while others feel the sensation of being guided or nudged along paths. These encounters frequently occur in conjunction with other phenomena, such as footsteps, voices, or apparitions, reinforcing the impression that the quarters are alive with spiritual presence. Paranormal investigators often record heightened electromagnetic readings in these areas, further suggesting the presence of energy not explained by ordinary environmental factors. The history of the Nottaway slave quarters provides context for these reported experiences. Built in the mid-19th century, the plantation housed hundreds of enslaved individuals who were responsible for maintaining the mansion, working the fields, and performing countless daily tasks under grueling conditions. Life in the quarters was difficult, with cramped spaces, meager provisions, and the constant burden of labor. Death, illness, and punishment were tragically common, leaving behind intense emotional imprints. Historians note that the combination of physical toil and emotional hardship created a powerful resonance that some believe has persisted through time, manifesting as the hauntings reported today. The echoes of these lives, layered with sorrow, anger, and resilience, are thought to contribute to the spectral activity observed in the quarters. Visitors to Nottaway often report that the atmosphere around the slave quarters is markedly different from the main house or the surrounding grounds. The sense of history is heavier, more immediate, and tinged with an emotional intensity that can be difficult to describe. Some choose to explore at dusk or after dark, hoping to encounter the unexplained phenomena themselves. The uncertainty adds to the allure, creating a space where history, memory, and the paranormal intersect in a profound and sometimes unsettling way. Paranormal investigators describe the quarters as a concentrated hub of spiritual activity, where the lives of both the enslaved and the overseeing family seem to intersect in lingering echoes. The combination of visual apparitions, disembodied voices, phantom footsteps, and tactile sensations makes the site uniquely immersive, allowing visitors to sense the humanity of those who once lived under difficult and often tragic circumstances. The residual energy appears layered, with moments of routine domestic life overlapping with expressions of suffering and unrest. This complex tapestry of emotion and memory gives the Nottaway slave quarters their haunting character. The Nottaway slave quarters stand as a solemn reminder of the human cost behind the grandeur of the plantation. Shadowy figures along the walls, whispering voices in empty rooms, phantom footsteps, and the chilling touch of unseen hands all serve as reminders that the past is never truly gone. Visitors leave with experiences that defy explanation, carrying with them the weight of lives once lived under hardship and the lingering presence of spirits. bound to the spaces they inhabited. The quarters remain a place where history and the supernatural converge, ensuring that the memory of those who labored there endures, etched into both the structures themselves and the stories of those who dare to walk their worn paths. Whitney Plantation, located in Wallace, Louisiana, is unlike many other antebellum estates in the region. While its grand facade and carefully preserved buildings reflect the architectural elegance of the 18th and 19th centuries, the plantation is unique in its dedication to preserving the history of the enslaved individuals who lived and labored there. Visitors quickly realize that Whitney is not just a museum of wealth and aristocracy, but a place that bears witness to the lives, struggles, and suffering of those whose labor made the plantation possible. Beyond its educational mission, however, Whitney Plantation has developed a reputation for intense and unsettling paranormal activity. The spirits of the past, some say, linger within the walls and grounds, manifesting in ways that make the history of the plantation almost tangible. Many visitors report an immediate sense of heaviness upon entering the grounds of Whitney Plantation. The air often feels charged, carrying the weight of centuries of labor, sorrow, and endurance. Walking through the cabins, hallways, and outbuildings, guests frequently describe sudden chills that creep along their skin, sometimes accompanied by goosebumps or an icy draft that seems to have no natural source. Paranormal investigators have documented these cold spots extensively, noting that they often occur in areas associated with previous reports of spectral activity. The sensation is sometimes so strong that it can leave visitors physically shivering, reinforcing the notion that the plantation is imbued with residual energy from the lives that unfolded there. Auditory phenomena are among the most commonly reported experiences at Whitney Plantation. Visitors often recount hearing disembodied cries echoing through the halls, voices of anguish or sorrow that seem to belong to those who once endured the brutal conditions of slavery. These sounds can be fleeting or prolonged, sometimes rising and falling as if following a rhythm of human emotion frozen in time. Whispers are also frequently reported, soft and indistinct, carrying a sense of urgency or warning. Guests have described hearing their names called, faint instructions, or fragments of conversation that cannot be attributed to any living person nearby. Paranormal experts suggest that these auditory experiences may represent residual emotional energy, moments of trauma that have imprinted themselves on the environment. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of the plantation's haunting. Visitors often report glimpses of ghostly forms moving through the cabins, along hallways, or across the fields. Some of these figures are described as semi-transparent, while others appear more solid, yet ethereal, moving with purpose or pausing as if caught in a moment of reflection. Witnesses have claimed to see figures reenacting scenes of everyday life, from fetching water to tending small fires, and even moments of suffering, fear, or despair. These apparitions are often dressed in period clothing, a visual reminder of the people who inhabited the plantation centuries ago. Some guests have noted that the figures appeared to replay the same actions repeatedly, creating a sense that the plantation itself is caught in a loop of memory, forever echoing the experiences of those who lived there. Phantom footsteps are another common feature of the haunting. The footsteps can approach, recede, or pace back and forth, even in empty buildings where no one else is present. This phenomenon adds to the immersive sense of the plantation as a space alive with unseen observers, reinforcing the notion that the spirits of the past are not dormant but actively present in some form. Some visitors have reported that the footsteps seem to follow them, fading when they pause, suggesting a level of awareness or interaction beyond mere residual energy. Tactile sensations also play a significant role in the haunting of Whitney Plantation. Several visitors recount feeling invisible touches, light brushes against the shoulder, or even a cold hand graze their arm as they navigate the cabins or hallways. These experiences are often brief but startling, creating a sudden awareness of another presence nearby. Many of these tactile sensations coincide with other paranormal activity, such as hearing cries, seeing shadows, or experiencing cold spots. forming a multi-sensory encounter that leaves visitors deeply affected. The history of Whitney Plantation provides context for its spectral reputation. The estate was home to hundreds of enslaved individuals who endured grueling labor, harsh discipline, and unimaginable hardships. Mortality was high, and disease, malnutrition, and accidents were tragically common. Each of these experiences left emotional and physical imprints, creating an environment charged with intense human energy. Paranormal investigators suggest that locations with high emotional intensity, particularly those marked by suffering or trauma, are prone to retaining spiritual echoes. And Whitney Plantation's buildings and grounds offer ample evidence to support this theory. Visitors often remark that the atmosphere at Whitney Plantation is distinct from that of other historic sites. The focus on the lives and struggles of the enslaved creates a poignant and somber energy, one that seems to permeate every building and path. Some choose to explore the plantation after dark, hoping to witness the ghostly phenomena firsthand. Photographers and investigators attempt to capture evidence of shadows, figures, or unexplained lights, though definitive proof is rare. The uncertainty of these encounters only adds to the mystique, creating a place where the past is experienced as vividly as the present. Paranormal experts describe Whitney Plantation as a concentrated hub of spiritual activity, where the echoes of pain, endurance, and sorrow interact with visitors in tangible ways. Auditory phenomena, visual apparitions, phantom footsteps, and tactile sensations all converge to create an immersive, emotionally charged environment. The presence of multiple layers of energy, representing the lives of both the enslaved and those who oversaw the plantation, contributes to the depth and intensity of the haunting. Whitney Plantation endures as a place where history and the supernatural intersect. Its cabins, hallways, and open grounds carry the voices, figures, and experiences of those who lived and suffered there. The cries, whispers, phantom footsteps, and shadowy reenactments of past events serve as reminders that the plantation is not simply a museum, but a living repository of memory and emotion. Visitors leave with experiences that defy explanation, carrying with them the sense that Whitney Plantation is more than a site of history. It is a place where the spirits of the past continue to exist, bearing witness to the lives and struggles of generations long gone. Felicity Gardens, part of the historic Felicity Mansion in New Orleans, offers visitors a serene and picturesque landscape by day, with its manicured flower beds, winding pathways, and neatly trimmed hedges evoking a sense of elegance and refinement. Yet, as the sun dips toward the horizon, the gardens take on an entirely different character. Many who have walked the grounds at dusk or after dark describe an atmosphere heavy with unease, where the beauty of the gardens is overshadowed by a lingering presence that cannot be seen but is deeply felt. It is said that the spirits inhabiting Felicity Mansion extend into the gardens, caught between the tranquility of the grounds and the sorrow that pervades the mansion itself. Visitors often notice an immediate shift in the air as they step onto the garden paths in the late afternoon. A warmth and brightness give way to sudden chills, and some report a feeling of heaviness in the chest, as if the space itself is saturated with emotion. These cold spots appear in different areas, sometimes near flower beds, statues, or the hedges lining the walkways, creating the impression of an unseen presence moving nearby. Paranormal investigators have documented these temperature drops, noting that they often coincide with other supernatural phenomena, suggesting that the gardens are alive with lingering energy from the past. Auditory experiences are common in Felicity Gardens. Many visitors report hearing faint whispers drifting through the flowers, soft voices that seem almost carried by the wind. Some claim to hear their names called, or fragments of conversation that cannot be attributed to any living person present. Others describe hearing laughter that appears to come from invisible figures, a sound that is at once joyful and eerie, echoing faintly among the hedges and statues. These whispers and murmurs often create the sensation that the spirits are aware of the living, observing their movements and interacting with them in subtle, unsettling ways. Shadowy figures are another frequent occurrence. Guests have described glimpsing dark shapes moving behind the hedges, flitting across the paths, or pausing near flower beds before vanishing. These figures are rarely distinct but unmistakably human in form. Some witnesses believe they are the spirits of former residents of the mansion, while others feel they represent servants who once tended the gardens, bound to the grounds even in death. Many suggest that the spirits are trapped, caught between the peaceful beauty of the gardens and the tragedy that unfolded within the mansion, unable to fully rest. Physical sensations also contribute to the haunting. Several visitors report feeling a cold brush against their shoulders or arms, sometimes accompanied by the subtle feeling of being followed along the garden paths. These encounters are fleeting but leave a lingering impression, heightening the sense of being in a place where the past is present. Investigators note that these tactile experiences often occur alongside whispers or sightings, creating a multisensory environment that is deeply affecting. The history of Felicity Mansion provides context for the activity in the gardens. The mansion was home to a prominent family whose lives were marked by wealth and social status, but also by personal tragedies, untimely deaths, and strained relationships. Those who worked and lived in the household, including gardeners and servants, endured long hours and harsh conditions, witnessing both the grandeur and the sorrows of the family. The emotional intensity of these lives' moments of joy, sorrow, and suffering appears to have left a lasting imprint on the estate. Paranormal experts suggest that locations of concentrated emotional energy, particularly where grief or trauma occurred, are more likely to retain spiritual echoes, explaining the haunting experiences in the gardens. Visitors often report that the gardens feel different from the mansion itself. While the interior is heavy with more direct activity, footsteps, arguments, and apparitions, the gardens are subtler, with softer manifestations like shadows, whispers, and fleeting touches. Some guests intentionally explore the paths at dusk, hoping to sense the spirit's presence firsthand. Photographers and paranormal investigators attempt to document sightings or unexplained lights, though definitive evidence remains elusive. The uncertainty only heightens the sense of wonder and unease, making the gardens a place where beauty and the supernatural intertwine. Felicity Gardens remains a haunting space where the past is ever present, the whispers drifting among the flowers, shadowy figures flitting behind hedges, and the cold presence felt at sunset all serve as reminders that the mansion's stories extend beyond its walls. Visitors leave the gardens with experiences that linger, a feeling that they have walked among echoes of lives caught between beauty and tragedy. In this space, the natural elegance of the gardens and the sorrow of history coexist, creating a haunting, unforgettable atmosphere where the spirits of Felicity Mansion continue to reside. Oak Grove Mansion, located in Beauregard, Louisiana, stands as a grand relic of the antebellum South. Its imposing columns and sprawling grounds, speaking to a time of wealth, status, and complex social hierarchies. Yet beneath the elegance and stately architecture lies a history marked by tragedy, secrecy, and lingering sorrow. Over the years, Oak Grove Mansion has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted estates in the region, drawing historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and curious visitors eager to witness the supernatural activity reported within its walls. From shadowy figures and whispered voices to phantom footsteps echoing along the grand staircases, the mansion seems to be alive with the echoes of lives long past, preserving both their stories and their unrest. Visitors to Oak Grove Mansion often describe a palpable sense of unease upon stepping across its threshold. The air in the main hall feels heavier than the surrounding grounds, charged with a presence that is invisible yet undeniable. Guests frequently report sudden drops in temperature, particularly near the staircases, long corridors, and upper rooms. These cold spots appear with no natural explanation, leaving visitors shivering even in warm weather. Paranormal investigators have noted that such temperature fluctuations often coincide with other phenomena, including visual apparitions, whispers, and the sense of being watched. The sensation is both physical and psychological, a reminder that the mansion is more than a historical structure, it is a vessel for memories and unresolved energies. Shadowy figures are among the most commonly reported hauntings at Oak Grove. Guests recount glimpsing dark, indistinct forms moving along hallways, lingering in corners, or disappearing behind doorways. Some appear to move with purpose, as though completing unfinished tasks or retracing steps from their former lives, while others stand silently, observing intruders who dare to enter the mansion. Many witnesses describe the figures as partially transparent, dressed in period attire that reflects the fashions of both the mansion's former family and the staff who served them. One frequently reported sighting involves a tall figure descending the grand staircase at dusk, pausing at the landing before vanishing into the shadows, leaving a lingering chill and a sense of awe. These apparitions seem to carry both presence and intent. Their appearances more than mere fleeting impressions, they are echoes of lives, intertwined with the mansion's turbulent history. Auditory phenomena contribute significantly to the mansion's haunted reputation. Visitors often hear whispers drifting across rooms, faint arguments that seem suspended in time, or even low murmurs that seem to follow them as they navigate the halls. Some guests report hearing their names called softly, though no one else is present, while others describe laughter or crying that appears to emanate from empty rooms. Paranormal experts suggest that these sounds may be residual energy, imprints of intense human emotion that linger long after the events that created them. The overlapping voices of sorrow, anger, and occasional joy create an eerie tapestry, reminding visitors that the mansion has been home to a wide spectrum of human experience, many of which ended in tragedy or betrayal. Phantom footsteps are another signature aspect of Oak Grove's hauntings. Visitors often hear the sound of footsteps pacing across hardwood floors or ascending and descending the grand staircases, even when the mansion is empty. These footsteps may start softly and grow louder, sometimes following visitors through hallways, then suddenly fading as though the spirits are aware of being observed. The rhythmic sound of these phantom steps can be startling, creating the impression that the mansion is actively occupied by those who refuse to leave. Some investigators have noted that the footsteps often occur near areas associated with intense emotional events, such as bedrooms, parlors, or the main hall, further suggesting that the spirits are tied to the mansion's history of loss and betrayal. Physical sensations are also reported by those exploring Oak Grove Mansion. Guests describe feeling invisible touches, a light brush against a shoulder, or even a subtle pressure at their back while walking through the halls. These experiences are brief but unmistakable, often coinciding with auditory or visual phenomena. Some visitors report a cold hand grazing their arm, followed by the faint sound of laughter or whispering. Such encounters create a sense of immediacy, as if the spirits are interacting with the living in a tangible way, bridging the gap between past and present. The history of Oak Grove Mansion provides a chilling backdrop for its hauntings. Built in the early 19th century, the estate was home to a family whose wealth and influence came at a cost to those who worked their lands. Records indicate episodes of personal tragedy, illness, and betrayal within the family, alongside the suffering endured by the servants and enslaved individuals who maintained the property. Death, loss, and the weight of injustice have marked the mansion over the centuries, creating layers of emotional resonance that paranormal experts suggest may have contributed to the residual activity observed today. Locations imbued with such intense human experience, particularly moments of grief, betrayal, or unresolved conflict, are believed to retain energy capable of manifesting as hauntings. Many visitors to Oak Grove Mansion note that the atmosphere is distinct from other plantations or historic sites. The mansion's energy is both oppressive and magnetic, drawing people into an experience that blends historical reflection with the supernatural. Guests are often compelled to walk slowly, listening for whispers, watching for shadows, or sensing movements beyond their own. Photographers and paranormal investigators attempt to capture evidence of the phenomena, from shadowy figures to unexplained lights, though definitive proof remains elusive. The allure lies in the uncertainty, the feeling of encountering something beyond the ordinary, of stepping into a space where time and memory overlap. Oak Grove Mansion stands as a place where history, sorrow, and the supernatural converge. Shadowy figures, whispers, phantom footsteps, and cold touches serve as constant reminders that the mansion is not merely a relic of the past, but a living repository of human experience. Visitors leave with sensations and stories that defy explanation, carrying with them the impression that the mansion is aware, responsive, and eternally tied to the lives once lived within it. The spirits of Oak Grove continue to roam its grand halls and staircases, ensuring that the echoes of lives lost, betrayed, and forgotten remain ever present, lingering in the shadows for all who dare to enter. And there you have it, 25 haunted mansions in Louisiana with cursed histories, where shadows linger, whispers echo through the halls, and the restless spirits of past inhabitants refuse to leave. These mansions remind us that beauty can mask sorrow, and grandeur can hide tragedy that refuses to fade. If this journey into Louisiana's haunted estates sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another ghostly tale. Until next time, step carefully through the corridors of history and listen closely, because some spirits never truly rest.